Oh,
Some of the capital letters annoy me, actually.
yeah. Q was always bad. It was hard to do. Q was the biggest sense to me.
And I don't like the A.
The
So I never
camera's
used
on.
it. Oh, this is a great conversation to record. I have to interpret our grandparents, although my grandma just writes, love you, grandma. But Josh's grandma writes like a whole page in every birthday card, and I gotta interpret it even for him sometimes. It's tiny,
When I write my
tiny.
grandson, I write in cursive.
Just
And he
to kick
says,
him.
it's
Oh,
cool, Grandma, because I can read it, but all the other guys
What did I say?
they,
I don't know
well,
what I
that's
did with
a,
it, though. That's funny.
they can't read it. So that's kind of awesome. I said, well, you'll never have to worry about them knowing your biz.
Yeah, that works. I know.
Here's still at the grade school. And I think 6 is actually still at the grade school too. Yeah. Well, we just kind of, yeah, I mean, there's.
I put it in your cubby. Excellent.
Okay. Goes on empty, I think, or one of those.
You know, it's
I forgot to bring a flyer for the camera that I sent you. Print it off. This is on. Can you guys look at webcams?
Are we good on time? We want to start?
1 minute.
Okay.
Happy birthday to young man.
Oh, I don't think
See, I can call everybody.
I can skip down.
It's right there.
I didn't do a very extensive dig, but I found a camera. It's very similar to that with long cord, like a ball from it. You can just hang it down.
Yeah.
Under 200 bucks. Not 2,000. Works for me.
Carrie, they should be pretty cheap these days.
And does the ball drive in? New Year's Eve.
For sure.
All right, there. Rock and roll.
All right, let's get started.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the meeting's called to order at 7 and roll call. Annie,
Here,
Michelle,
here,
Brett, here, Jason,
Here.
and Tim.
Here.
Okay, at this time, we're gonna open the meeting for public comments on the budget hearing, the 2025 budget.
I didn't hear you. We can't hear you.
It's the public hearing on budget.
For 2025. If anybody has any comments? Anything, council? Okay, seeing nor hearing of any comments, the budget hearing is closed.
I'll
Council,
move to adopt the agenda. Second.
motion by Tim to adopt the agenda as written, seconded by Jason. Those in favor? Motion passes.
I move to approve the minutes of August 12th, 2024. I found them humorous. Second.
I must have exploded.
It's all right. It's hot.
Motion to approve the minutes of August 12th by Tim, seconded by Jason. Any further comment? Those in favor?
Can I ask us to approve the budget down on the agenda?
Pardon me?
Do we have a motion to approve the budget on the
Uh,
Is
agenda?
that required?
Yeah.
Okay, was,
Do we need to back up and reopen it?
No, you don't need to do it with a hearing. A public hearing is just a public hearing, but you do have to approve it. Don't you have a signed version that they have to sign, I think, for the budget?
yes.
Yeah, actually.
Unless it's another meeting, I didn't know for sure. Okay, good. It's just a simple motion and second, and it's not a roll call either.
I'll move to approve the budget for the upcoming year.
Is it to exceed it or just to?
No, it's just
Approve it,
to
okay.
approve yeah.
I'll second.
Yeah,
I'll have to.
Motion by Jason to approve the budget for 2025, seconded by Annie. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Motion passes. Okay, next up is the appropriation ordinance 1522.
I move to accept appropriation ordinance 1522.
I will say, Mercury did get hooked up at the bait shop, so then that should be off there the next time. Okay, so now it's here, the bait shop, and the water maintenance shop, water plant.
Perfect. It's the shop here and the bait shop.
Okay, I'll second.
Motion by Michelle to approve appropriation ordinance 1522, seconded by Brett. Any further discussion? This would be a roll call vote. Annie,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, we're opening the floor to public concerns or comments.
Hi.
Okay,
I'm Carrie Schaefer, speaking on behalf of the Housing Authority.
You're on the agenda.
Was it for this?
I think. Go ahead.
yeah, she's on there under new city business.
Okay, so is that where you want me?
Yeah, I guess, I didn't know.
You don't know where.
Brett says it was for, Brett knows apparently, so that's what he says.
It's in the new city business.
And then I have a question.
Okay, Marcia.
I came in 3 meetings ago, so what's that, 6 weeks? And we talked about my tree and you guys helping me. And I believe you approved that, and then you have to wait 2 weeks, and it goes on the appropriations. And then if you approve that, then the check is written, and I haven't received that money.
I think it
Well,
was just
sitting
on
in
the
the cubby.
appropriation,
It's
but
sit-
just
it's-
approved.
It's sitting in his cubby.
Why? Why is it in his cubby?
I assumed that he was going to pick up, I'm assuming it's still there. That's where I put it because that's where I put stuff for him. I'm
Well-
sorry I didn't send it directly to you.
Yeah, but I just wanted to check on that because when he first became mayor, I got a lot of grief about being Mrs. Mayor and all that, and that's not me. I've been coming to city council meetings for 30 years without him. So I would have expected to get a phone call or a mail, but if that's the procedure, I just need to know. So that's what I was checking on.
Going forward, it will not be a procedure. I didn't know it would be an issue. I
Okay,
assumed
thank
you
you.
would get it quicker than the mail.
Oh, the mail's supposed to come this fast. Okay, thank you. Just checking.
Anybody else, public concerns? Okay, Julie Bisnet, are you here? Robin Baker, are you here? All right, moving on.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So I haven't been to one of these meetings before, but is this the time to talk about lake items, or is that further down?
Is this from the storm damage?
No, it's not related to storm damage.
Okay, yeah, public concerns would have been the time to bring that up. We do have Lake Wabunsee storm damage on the agenda, so
Okay.
that's why I asked that question.
I could be involved with that too, but this is separate from that.
Okay, we'll entertain your comments under public concerns.
Okay, thank you.
Your name,
So-
please.
Yeah, my name is Drew Switsky. Recently purchased the home at 67 Lakeview Circle. My guess question or consideration would be that there were two concrete pads on the lake property that I was asked to pay $195.50 for each structure. There's two of them. They're about 3 foot by 6 foot. Not understanding what they were at the time. I guess they were put there in place by maybe the Corps of Engineers a long time ago. I'm not sure. A bathhouse or a pump structure. My understanding is that previous owners didn't have to pay for those structures. So I guess my request or consideration would be to remove those from the fees associated with those two structures.
Do we have any documentation on the Corps of Engineers putting that out anywhere?
I haven't gone that far yet, but from my understanding, is that they've been there ever since the house was built.
I would say that Robin's gonna have to go out and take pictures and document it and check it out.
Okay.
And obviously you're gonna get information from the Army Corps of Engineers, but the people that lived there before maybe just got away with not paying it. That happens more often than not at the lake.
Okay.
So I hope that answers that question
Okay.
for that part of it. And then I guess after Robin looks at it and comes back in, and then you bring back more information than we'd have.
Okay. Do I need to reach out to Robin, or is that something you guys do?
We will send her out.
Okay.
But if you can get some information from the Corps,
Yeah, I'll check it out. I haven't had a chance to do a lot of research, but like I said, I just wanted to bring it up.
Sure.
there was a time when the people that lived out there were allowed to suck water out of the lake for their home. So if that was for a pump, that may have been what that's for, but
Okay.
I'm just shooting in the dark here.
And I don't know that for sure. That's just my understanding of what it might be, because it's kind of puzzling just to look at it. But yeah. So,
May I add to his, because I'm his neighbor, he's our new neighbors now, he bought the Gill's place. We've been out there since Mr. Bogart built that house originally. And then he sold it to the Kellys, and the Kellys sold it to the Gills, and the Gills sold it to Drew and Stephanie. Those structures have been there since we've been there for 28 years. And as we've walked around some of the other easements on a lot of the other lake properties, there are some. So,
Yeah, it could very well be a Corps of Engineer thing.
yeah.
Could very well be.
So our concerns are you gonna have her come back out? Because she was out there about a week and a half ago taking pictures then, because I talked to her.
Mhm.
And she has pictures on her iPad from that evening, because her and I stood there and talked for quite a while.
Of this particular structure, she had pictures of?
Yes, house and the Clark's house.
You guys have seen it. She presented that when they were transferring their dock. So those pictures were all in there, but what I can do is send you guys another copy of it so you can review it with looking at it like this now.
Because we've been out there long enough to know that there's a lot of other structures that look just like what he has. And you're right, they pump the water out. We were told that by several people around the lake. And my understanding is they were never taxed on it before. And why would you start taxing people or charging them more for structures that have been there forever, since the lake was built?
The problem is a lot of them have been built illegally without permits.
And not necessarily these structures specifically, but
These weren't
right.
built, these weren't built
Yeah.
illegally, but they were there because they served a purpose. I mean, you have,
And what
they're
purpose
before
are they
you and-
serving
before
now?
you and I were born. You know, that they were there before you and I were born, Brad. We've had that discussion. I don't wanna argue with you. I'm gonna explain to you what people have told us by living out there for so long, the history of that lake. Don't agree with what you wanna do as far as putting extra on people's property, whether they're new or they're old. It's not right.
Well, you're correct. If we're putting it on your property, it's not correct. If you're putting it on property that's owned by the city, that's different.
And it was never there. I mean, it was way there before he even bought the property. So I don't feel like it's fair
Well,
for
okay,
him.
and
But the
all
city,
we're asking for is a document from the Corps of Engineers that says what these structures are and what the purpose of them are. That's all we're asking for.
I can do some research. I just
Sure,
haven't been
Sure.
far
I'm
yet.
not trying to argue with anybody either. I've lived here 35 years and I've never lived at the lake. And never even heard of complaints from the lake until I became mayor, but that just goes with the territory. So I'm just as new about this as this young fella here is. So yeah, I don't have a problem with that. We get Corps of Engineers involved and find out what this structure is, and Robin's got pictures. We can check that out. We can see what it is. Done.
two notes. One, it's not a tax. Nobody's taxing anybody in regards to these things. And the second thing is this is because a lot of people, I'm not naming names, but they built things out there and didn't get permits, didn't ask, and now we're correcting the record. So there is no pre-existing use rights on the city's property. Meaning, I don't care how long it's been there. If they can take that into account as far as an equitable argument, but as far as a legal argument goes, if it's on the property and it's a structure, it's charged or it's removed. And you can't gain a right because it was there long before to keep it.
I have a question, because we're here for the same issue. Has there always been a permit required? Because back with the property we're purchasing, it's well over 65, 70 years old, and the Taylors owned it for the last 45. And I don't know that they added any of those structures except one dock, but when there's a property there that long, has there been a permit required
No,
all that
probably not.
time?
I don't think a permit was been required.
Right,
for-
so some people structured those or built those not illegally, but just because they could, because it wasn't required at the time.
And that doesn't make any difference. If you have built something that you don't have a permit to be where you are on the property of the city, at any time it can be removed. And that's the choice, meaning, we perfectly accept people. If you buy a property and there's things on there that you want to pay for as a structure fee, please remove them with our thanks, and that will be done. And that will be
Why
it.
would that be? I'm just curious. So it's been existing for that many years. Why would you ask for it to be removed now?
The city owns the property. None of you own the property that we're talking about. That's the law, that's the rule. Let's make sure we understand that is a base issue here.
But if you didn't require permits and there wasn't anything illegally done and it's been existing all this time, then
It
why
doesn't matter.
now?
It doesn't matter. If somebody comes over to your house, comes to your living room, you invite them in, you have a nice talk, you say, it's time for you to leave, and they don't, they're trespassing. You can say at any time during that conversation, you're trespassing, you need to get off my property. And the
I
same,
agree.
and you don't get to sit something there for a long time and earn a place and not be removed from that place if it's not your property. And that there's one lesson that's I want to get through. That is not your property. And you have the rights you have are the ones that the city of
But
Eskridge
the
gives you.
owners maintain that property to
I
make it
understand.
look
I understand. We're very-
nice, so other people want to buy that expensive property at Lake Wabansie,
Yeah, it's
which generates money for the county because it's high taxes and it generates money for the city of Eskridge.
What money does it generate the city for the city? We don't get any
Well,
tax
your
money.
fees for one
Yeah,
thing.
and they're not enough. So
Well, they're not enough. Are you just trying to get all of that off of Lake Wabansie or?
Because you have a city here that you could be doing something with. This city, I mean, the city of Eskridge has got potential.
Oh, we know. We're working on that too.
Yeah.
That's definitely not a
But
bygone
why do we
conclusion.
have to take the brunt of?
You're definitely not taking the brunt of gas and water sales in Eskridge pay our bills. So just to be clear, we really don't make our money off the lake. We are trying to use that money that we make at the lake to improve it as well. And that's something we're not keeping up with. So in town and in the lake, I'm gonna disagree, I guess, but we're not making enough to really do what we want to do anyway. So we're not trying, I'm definitely not trying to punish anyone with fees. And I definitely want to hear more about that because I don't think we should pay for every paving stone if it's not applicable, right? But
Well, and can I ask mention one thing? I don't want to throw anybody under the bus here, but if you're talking about concrete and stuff on your easement, we have neighbors that have a lot of concrete going around us. Did they get a permit? So are you gonna ask them to take all
it's
that?
definitely
out?
case by case. Obviously we can't, I
So
mean,
like
we need to, and we are working on it. That's
You're
part of
gonna
what
ask them to
Robin's.
take all that concrete out because that
well,
is
yeah, tell us
preserving
where
your-
it's at.
It is preserving the shoreline.
Well, let
If
me,
you lock
let
them
me
out-
interject something here if I may, please.
Yes.
I took over as mayor in January of 22. And the council meetings that I came to prior to that time, there was no compliance officer. Basically, the city didn't have a compliance officer to go out and check the properties at the lake or even most of the properties here in town. So like Brad had said earlier, a lot of people were building things over the years where there's never been a compliance officer to check. We feel like some of those folks even knew they were supposed to get permits, but didn't do it anyway because nobody else was doing it. And eventually we've got a compliance officer. Now there's at least 240 properties out there at the lake. She's been involved in it now for about 2 years. There's no way she's going to be able to get every one of those properties in this short period of time, but she is working on that and will eventually get every property out there for compliance. So unfortunately, somebody has to be first and somebody has to be last. And like the mailman, you know, you can't, everybody can't get their mail delivered at 9 in the morning when the guy's got to walk for 5 hours. Somebody's got to be first and somebody's last. Same with the compliance officer. So we are going out and looking at property. Most of the properties we look at are those that are changing hands because that's happening right now and it has to be done. But during the periods when we're not changing hands with properties out there, then she's out there looking at some of the places that she has not been to. So they will eventually get to everybody. So if you've got a neighbor that's
How
got,
many properties you sold in the last 2 years then?
pardon me,
How many you sold in the last 2 years?
I
or
couldn't-
sold?
I couldn't tell you.
Well, that's not me, so.
What was her answer?
Some of these,
If they have, how many you sold last year, so she didn't have time? That's not that.
I don't think we've sold any properties.
That's, you said the ones that are sold, that's the ones you work about.
No, I said when they change hands. When
Change
they
hands,
when they
how
change
many were
hands.
sold?
Yeah, sold or transferred
Yes,
in
how
one way
many?
or another. That's when we get the information and she gets out there and
I
checks
mean,
on it.
we probably get
But
two or three every meeting.
Okay.
So it's a
I didn't understand his
Well,
question.
a
How many
month.
we sold, but
2 or 3 a month.
he was acting like maybe she had enough time to do it because there wasn't a lot exchanged.
There's not
But-
a lot of
Oh,
It's
sell
more than you
people,
think,
But
really.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what he was asking.
She's not a full-time employee. and
Okay.
that certainly isn't her own.
Oh, yeah.
Her other duty is to do docks that are improved or changed. So
so
not just transfers.
okay. Any more comments?
I just appreciate you guys considering that.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Since they look back, we'll move back to the department report since Robin's here.
Yes, let's do that. Robin,
Yes.
you have a report tonight?
Are we gonna do the transfer now and all that, or? First, I'd like to state, I was trained on the sprayer and the side by side, and the dump truck and the Bobcat. by Jim Ware today, so there's a copy we both signed it.
Okay, very good, thank you.
And Tim, that hangover on 421 is still there. And I have pictures of that if you want to see that.
We need to address that.
And Brett, I talked to the contractor that started that work without a permit. He understands that he needs to get a permit.
And he's gonna come in and sign our rule.
Oh, I didn't know I had to sign that. I can call him. Everything back, everything email him.
How did we say that we were gonna do that with the application?
I'm gonna attach it to
From that
application.
point.
Before you get to rolling, 421 overhang she's mentioning.
Get me?
We approved that with the understanding that the dock would be brought into compliance. And Brett pointed out that there's an overhang that makes it out of compliance. The roof makes the footprint larger than 20 by 24. They still have not addressed that. How are we going to proceed?
When were they asked?
When they were here to ask for the transfer, I think a general reminder of, hey, you still have it would be in order at this stage. Probably send them a letter.
What was the address?
421, what was that? Was it 421 Lakeside?
East Flint Hills Drive.
East Flint Hills Drive.
Woodward.
Do you know the name?
Woodward, Jim. Woodward.
Was that the place that also had all the kayaks that were untagged?
I don't believe so. Well, no.
No.
This was the structure, the boathouse structure that was never approved in the first
There
place.
are a couple.
Oh,
When
yeah.
it was
There
built.
are a couple fire cuts there, Brett, so. One's rock, they could easily remove it.
Okay, we'll have,
And maybe just-
Kelly will send him a letter.
What did you say about fire pits?
There's a couple fire pits there, she said. So
That
they
are
can-
not,
It's just rock, I mean,
They
you can
could
easily.
remove it or pay for it.
At the same property, 421.
Yes, ma'am. And they're not like big, they can easily be removed. If they choose to remove them. And then we have, are you ready for the transfer? Are we doing the transfer?
If you, well, we have
Oh.
one item prior to that needs to be,
Okay.
taken care of, and then you can go right back into it if you're through with your report.
I do need to purchase a new head for the weed eater. That's going to be about $36. Ace Hardware in Pekin. If that can,
Do we need
Do we need a motion for that?
just maintenance for tools, isn't it?
Just keep the receipt and give it to Kelly.
You've got permission to buy it, just like you said, bring the receipt.
I'm gonna go spend my money and buy it and then get reimbursed.
So is there credit?
No. She'll give you the credit card and you'll go purchase.
She don't have a credit card.
Have you checked with,
I'll get with Mike.
have you checked with the Eskridge Lumberyard to see if they have this item?
I actually did. Actually called Bailey today and they do not.
Okay.
They have just the
I just
string.
wanted to make sure, okay.
They act at Ace Hardware is Husqvarna dealer. So that's where I got the last one.
can I back up a few subjects here?
Sure.
You said that you were trained today. Do you
Yes.
feel comfortable?
I wouldn't say no. I would like somebody there the first time just that backup.
Sure.
But yeah, I think eventually it'd be not a problem. Just a little more, just practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that was a split shift dump truck, and I have never driven one of those. So.
All right, let's get this, revenue neutral rate out of the way, and then we'll go right into
Okay.
into the transfers, okay? Okay, tonight is a notice of hearing that we're going to exceed the revenue neutral rate. Does the taxpayers have any questions or comments about our revenue neutral rate?
I think so.
From the county.
County would send a notice that you,
I'm not thrilled about it, what you say about it, if somebody can explain it better, that'd be great.
The revenue neutral rate is the rate that is going to establishes that if the city puts that forward in their budget, they will receive the same amount of revenue as they did the previous year. So it's the revenue neutral rate. So presumably, if the city charges that rate per mill, it will get the same amount of income as it did last year. If the city needs to exceed that, meaning charge more, then they have to give a notice, which they have. And that was, the rate was likely in the budget, I'm assuming.
And the exceeding rate is the assessed rate, right? So you've been assessed that rate.
I don't think, well, I mean, it has no bearing except for the fact that that's the amount of, it's a revenue neutral idea. It's not an assessment question. Your assessment, your values of property may change. What a mill is could change. The only thing that stays the same that we're exceeding now is the fact that there is an amount of income compared to last year that they're getting the same amount if they would have stayed with the revenue neutral rate, but they're exceeding it. You'd have to see from the budget document what that means in dollars and cents. I'm not sure what it says.
Okay, moving on. A dock permit, or a deck permit, sorry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that in the budget?
It
The
is,
rate that you
yes.
did, okay, so you approve the budget with this rate in it.
I went out just literally read it.
Okay, are you guys just replacing the one that you have?
So if you read the notes right there, basically it tells you exactly what I got in mind.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
We're talking about 7 Sunflower Drive.
Yeah.
Correct.
So this is the drawing, and this is the notes of what we want to do. So if you read through that and got any questions, just let me know.
The only reason we're doing is the site.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's an
They had hail damages, and there's pictures, if you keep finding your book. There's like pictures of it.
So we're having to replace the siding anyway, so we thought we would do the deck again because the wood is so old. So while we had it off, we were just gonna put it in.
I can't really remember or familiar what our rule is for the extending of the barracks, how far they can go out, you know?
So if you read that second line there,
I'm having to read whatever on my line.
so the deck extends 6 feet right now to the drive. We want to go 8 feet, which is the same as the 2 to the north.
Okay.
So we're just extending to 8 feet from 6 feet. And that makes it the same as the 2s that are right next door to it. The south side would be exactly the same. And then we would add, besides the extra 2 feet on the east, we would go north just a little bit, make it the same width as the house or the cabin.
I don't have a problem as long as it doesn't exceed the other ones already have.
So anyway, the south part of the deck would be the exact same dimensions that are already there. You'd just be adding 2 feet to the east side and a little bit to the north.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve the deck permit at 7 Sunflower Drive, Hoppenstein by Brett, seconded by Michelle. Any further discussion?
I hope that's what we're allowed. That's what we've been permitting, approving or whatever. Because like Brett said, I don't know what we have.
It's exactly what their neighbor two of their neighbors. Is that what you just said?
Yeah, Chris and Lacey's deck's out 8 foot.
Right.
Greg, and I can't think of his wife's name, is
Well,
out 8 foot.
Greg and Beverly.
no offense, but
And,
just because theirs sticks out like that doesn't mean that's.
Well, I
what they
just assumed that those were built under your permits. or
I know
whatever.
you would assume, I mean, that's same scenario all over the lake, so that's why I'm hesitant.
I'm pretty
So-
sure it's 10 feet.
You've been out there,
10 feet.
right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And they're provided a picture. I mean,
So she's been there and seen it, so she's your,
There's pictures.
I'm pretty sure it's 10 feet. You can look into that if you want. But
If I
it's saying
want
it's
to.
8 feet, so that's within the two.
We're not talking about the distance that it actually is, we're talking about the permitted,
You want me to find out what the ordinance is,
whatever we.
but I thought that wasn't my job. No, I will look.
Do we have a motion on the floor?
And
yes.
And a
And a
second.
second.
Any further discussion on it? Those in favor? Okay, it passes. Thank you.
so is there anything else we need to buy or whatever?
Donuts have been nice.
Is this
but-
it right now?
No, you're good.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, 78 Lakeview Circle, Taylor to Reed, dock transfer.
Did they say the fee on that? On that permit?
I think I saw it, $50.
I saw it up in the corner.
$50.
No, actually, they did not.
That's
That
what
was
Christie just said. Are we supposed to
one of
pay?
the questions, because it's a board for board, because it was said that previously a board for board did not require.
But that's more land.
Okay, that's all, that's, however you guys wanna do it, that's a question. So yes, the $50 permit fee applies.
Yeah, in this case, because it's
Okay.
not exactly the same footprint anymore.
I'm sure they won't have a problem.
I am too.
Okay, next one. 78 Lakeview Circle. That you guys?
It is Taylor to Reed.
What you got?
So what are the amount of structures that they're paying for currently?
They currently pay for a standard dock and an oversized dock.
There's your permit for you.
All right.
Okay. I chased her down. You
Really?
can't
You
get
didn't
away.
Are we done? You're free, you're free.
Hey, I'm done. Thank you.
Run. Sorry to chase it down like that.
So one regular size dock.
I know you were, because I heard you talking about it when you left.
Yes.
One habitable structure.
Okay.
And then I see a third dock,
For the jet ski lift. Maybe.
and then
No, it's not less.
a concrete retaining wall. No fire pits, fence, flagpole. No fire pits, fence, flagpole.
There's a fence. There's fence.
Well, there's a metal one in front and two chain links.
But the metal one in front is protecting like the 4-foot drop, just that steep, dangerous thing that we've been through. So I think that's okay, isn't it? I don't know. It's not my job to decide that.
Because it's concrete wall.
We didn't okay that other one permanently. We made an agreement with them that as long as their grandchild was young, that they would be
that's
able
right.
to keep it.
That's right.
So we nowhere near told them that they could keep a fence because we don't allow anybody to have a fence around the lake to block off
Oh,
any
well,
more
I stand
property.
corrected.
Well, there's a lot of concrete there, isn't there?
And then what are exactly are these, Robin?
If you look at your paper, I've got it all set up for you.
Yeah, there's notes.
There's notes.
And some pictures I didn't send earlier.
Thank you.
Wow.
I might as well miss out. I don't know.
Some of this is long.
And I had a question regarding the survey flags.
We're talking about third,
If they need.
Yeah, I have to pay for the survey for
What?
we're talking about third dock.
Oh,
Aren't you kidding?
It's a
They're concrete dock.
Can you show them the third dock is just a little floating dock? I
Yes,
don't know.
yes,
It's, I don't know if it's attached to the second one or not.
This one's tied with this one.
Right.
It's oversized dock.
Right.
Yeah, there's only two docks. That's docking.
Yes, that's just.
I said three.
That just,
You probably already know before you came in that there are some offending structures that haven't been paid for.
Well, what I
correct?
know
We've
is
been
I
told
grew
that.
up in that house with what I consider my brother Bruce. He was there and they've had it 45 years. Stoffers had it before that. So it's been like this for 65, 70 years, I don't know. And so now we are taking it over to keep family there and happiness. And now we're gonna get hit with all the fees for structures that have been there for this many years.
Well, the
Nothing
little-
new has been added.
The little wooden dock that's floating, you could literally take that, remove that, and that's one structure that you wouldn't have to pay for.
Well, the little plastic floating one. you
No,
mean?
there's a wooden one.
Yeah,
tied
but-
to the jet ski.
Okay, so the reason that was initially, this was 30 years ago that it was installed, but initially that was because at that time, if you had open space, and correct me if I'm wrong, Arlene, but if there was enough space, somebody from the second tier could build a dock down there. So I think Taylor's or Bruce did it so that they wouldn't have somebody additionally.
Building.
So you'd rather pay for it than give it up.
Yeah, so it was, because then somebody else can build a dock there, right? If those are still the guidelines, I don't know. I just know why it was initially built, I believe.
It makes sense. There's several families out there that did that very same
Right,
thing.
right, and I know this was 30 years ago for sure that they did that.
The round.
To prevent
Right.
Well,
another.
We actually have some people who pay for a dock,
I
even
don't have
though
real
nothing
good
built
pictures
there.
of it.
They
One
just
at a time,
pay for
one
it.
at a time.
They just want that spot, but I thought too, we owned a house over, which where was it?
One at a time, please.
Walking up
Hear
for
what's going
10
on.
years and we built one and we did go through the permit.
It was no big deal.
And we've been gone 5 years, but we got the permit and, added the second story and everything and another dock, so.
Well, since there's been a dock moratorium, nobody can build a dock there anymore
Okay.
because
Okay,
So,
so
see,
they-
that's
docks
when it
can
said
be.
we could just
Just
take
people
it
walk
out.
through your yard and you kind of get.
Well, which they have the lake easement, so.
Yeah, but
they
I'm just
probably
saying.
do that. So if
actually
we
own
took
two
it
houses at
out,
one time, so.
we wouldn't have somebody else building one. Okay, so that's an option. But that's one of the last ones. I guess my question is like the patio, the round patio thing, that's been there forever. It's not even, it needs leveled up. There's a lot of maintenance to some of this that's been there. The wall's been there since the house. That was there when Saunders had it, right? Yeah, so some of that's to keep the yard up and out of the lake. And then, like, as she said, to protect from children or anybody when they're having
Walking
a
off the
party, walking off the edge onto the concrete.
And this is a railing on top of the wall.
Just like other people out there that have concrete, they're helping preserve the shoreline. But if you do it for one, you're gonna have to do it for a lot of others that come in here with the same problem. Do you understand? I'm not here to fight with anybody, but if you're gonna do it for one, you're gonna have to do it for others.
I agree
So
with
we
you.
need to tear out the
have
concrete
been-
wall?
We have been doing it for all the people that have been coming across to us. Plebeiacs just have their concrete that we told them they had to remove.
They're also selling their house.
I know they are. I saw their,
Yeah.
I wish them well.
There's just so many families that have been here forever that made the lake what it is.
Yeah.
And you're taking some of the beauty that why people want to pay the money that they pay for a lake house. It's enormous. And
The problem with your particular lot is that the shoreline is open to anybody because it's public and like nobody can get around in here.
Well, there's a gate on I'm kind of out at there on not good with mine. But on
Both sides are a gate.
on the south side, north side, there's a gate, you can go there. But I don't know if there's one at the lake. And Cindy, what? I'm sorry.
You're not clear what they have?
No, I said we could argue about this all day long,
Oh.
but it's clear what they have.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what I
I thought you said you were clear.
Do you remember 7, 8 years ago, I couldn't walk along the easement to get from our dock to the other dock. I was in fear of being shot at by my neighbor.
I do remember
Do you know
that.
that you came out and you and John Taylor came out there and take all of her furniture, put it back up on her property. And it wasn't an hour later, we walked back down and she had all that back down and blocked us from going to get to our other dock that we had paid fees for, that we've
Yeah.
never been able to use. And that's been our problem all along, that we have been paying for a dock that we can't use, maintain, take care, let other people try to use, that want to use it when they come out there, because we couldn't do it. But now that they have bought it, we're gonna try to work together to get that back. So, I'm thinking sense, people all the way on the lake are trying to maintain their easement. Like all the trees that we lost here recently. People are having to spend thousands of dollars to get people to come out there and cut those trees down to make it look good again. And they're on your easement, we're taking care of it. Are we gonna get compensated for taking care of those trees?
We're gonna discuss that here. We'll get down to it
Because we would love
on the
to be
agenda.
helping each other and be a community.
Are there designated easements for the lake? The last time I knew, there were certain areas, so it wasn't every property had an easement for lake access.
Well, not along the sides of every property does have access, but the area completely around the lake is.
Yeah, but
City property.
that's down below. You can walk in somewhere.
Yeah, there's some
walk
areas
over
that are.
So I guess that's my question, are we, and is our
No, none of your adjoining, there's no
in
easement
jeopardy
adjoining your
of not
property,
allowing
there's one to the
somebody,
north.
see, not allowing somebody to walk down an easement, is
I
that?
said one to the north, not
76 Lakeview Circle, north of that
Oh,
is an easement or road.
so they can access the lake from there, it doesn't have to come through ours, right?
Well,
And that's where it should.
is there still a trampoline in the yard?
No.
So where that trampoline was,
Mhm.
towards the lake, anybody can be on that piece of property anywhere at any given time, fishing,
That'd be that point right there at the bottom, right?
doing, yeah,
But they don't have
whatever.
permission to walk from the street through your yard
Correct.
to get there.
So why is the fence matter then?
We don't allow, because you're literally blocking off the shoreline that's public access
So
to
if you move the
everyone.
fence back, it's okay.
If you move it back
Onto
to
your
your property
property,
line,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, do what you want on your
For sure,
property.
yes. You can absolutely fence in your
Well,
own.
then that gives up part of our yard.
But I mean, you still can get to it if you want.
It's a safety thing, I think if you look, she has the pictures, if you look, if somebody fell, there's,
You know how people
you have
break-
insurance to cover injuries,
Sure.
because, I mean, it's very much a concern. And we do have 15 grandkids, so it is a concern. And so they go from like 2 to 18, so we'll probably never get away from grandchildren, but
You don't.
we only have one extra bedroom, so
how do they fit?
they don't.
That's the point
Yeah, I
right there.
didn't
is
know
that-
that it is a 4-foot drop.
Anyway, that's not, we're just trying to figure it out, because you lose the beauty of that property when you start tearing out all this stuff that's been there so long.
What if you leave an opening in each end and put the fence there for safety? So they could get through, that's an easement there, they could walk to either end.
They have the right to go everywhere on that easement. Tear down a fence that's in a right of way. I wouldn't do it, but
Well, what reason usually tear down a fence in the right of ways, you have to replace something.
Most people are
That's blocking
respectful
where
of
You can't do it, but
your
I
yard.
work a lot in the utilities and that's what it is. You can't put a fence in the right of way, you need it tore down. But
yeah,
there's no reason to tear it down because they want to walk through it.
there's no reason to block it off with a fence either.
Well,
I
for
think-
safety, that's what we're trying
The
to.
biggest thing is that the city just doesn't allow fence anywhere.
You ought to be able to walk at the shoreline from all the way around the lake.
You can walk it. Go from each end. You can walk the whole thing. That's, I don't understand why you want somebody that drinks too much, come down through there, fall off the edge. I'm pretty sure they'll probably come after me.
Well, if it was not on your property, they couldn't. I mean, if somebody walked from the then south, all on city property and fell in.
It doesn't matter to me. I don't
So
care.
people I guess I'm frustrated and you can feel that. And I don't mean to keep talking all night, but so something that's worked on that property for 65, 80 years, now all of a sudden it's harming people. I don't understand. There's not been any accidents. There's not been anybody complaining, especially on that property. I just don't understand why now it's all changing.
Can I oversimplify this?
Please.
If you speed on the interstate every day for 65 years and you get a speeding ticket on the 60, you know, the day after the 65 years, is it okay that you were speeding that whole time?
Well, I'm not talking about.
I know,
Simply.
but if it
this
wasn't supposed to be there
these
in
weren't
the first place,
constructed
just because it
illegally. They
was.
weren't constructed with or without a permit.
Changing
This
the
one
rules
wasn't.
after they were put up.
Yes, and there should be grandfathered in some of this stuff. And I think it was grandfathered in. The county didn't even require.
The fact that you have more than one dock is the grandfathering that we have allowed, and it's actually written into the code, just to be.
Well, no, I
know,
read
but the
that.
fence was up years ago
But,
and
yeah, that's
nobody was
The
saying
fence.
anything now.
So how much is a fence? Is that a
I
structure?
just need, that needs to go. I don't know how to structure.
With 15 grandkids, you're gonna make us take that down.
Well, I'd say keep the grandkids off of it then.
That's why we bought the lake house. So we could enjoy it.
Don't buy a house that requires that you go on somebody else's property to enjoy.
We don't have to go on somebody else's.
Yes, you do.
Whose?
City's property. That's where the fence is. Keep saying your backyard or your yard. It's not yours.
Well, our
You
yard
don't want the
is up.
second tier people to come out to your area. You're blocking it off. That's what you guys said.
That's not what I said. There's a fence that opens up that they
You're
can
talking about
enter.
building docks in areas, multiple docks, so that you didn't have the tier 2 people building a dock where you were.
That's what my brother-in-law did. That was 30 years ago.
Well, I think as the theme here, we're holding people to everything they did 30 years ago, or not?
The theme is, why is it changing? You have beautiful properties out there. So now you're telling us we have to tear down everything we just bought.
Have any of you all been out there and walked around everybody's property? Are you just going by pictures for ticket? Because walking and pictures are different. Even going around with the boats is different.
There are some areas out there that you can't walk all the way
you
around.
can
the
walk.
lake.
You can't.
I know
You can take a
that.
boat.
I believe Jerry's house, his property is one of those. You got like about 2 inches of city space to get around. Is that correct, Jerry?
Right, on one side.
On one side, yeah. So you can't walk all the way around the lake house. And I've often thought about that. If you were coming from the north going towards Jerry's house and all of a sudden you get to that dead end because there's no place you can go, how do you get out of there? You can't walk up the side because you're on his property then. You got to turn around and go all the way back. So what's the solution to that? Build a bridge?
You can
You
walk
know?
to the lake.
Yeah. If it's wintertime, you can walk on the ice, I suppose.
So what do we owe? What are the structures we need to pay for? And we'll have to,
We'll deal with fences. I don't care.
figure out the fence thing, but I wish maybe all of you could take a field trip out there and see. It's a drop off of 4 feet on the concrete. And then there's big rocks in the water if they land and tumble in there. So it is a dangerous situation.
I will most likely go out there and look at it. Usually when there's contract properties like this, I visit them for sure. I'm one person.
Okay.
And I like that. Is there any way you can do it from the
Even on the
retaining wall up on that
Because
side so nobody can fall over?
That wall.
Not put it
Do what?
where the retaining wall is, just make a little area taller so nobody
Oh,
can
the
fall
chain.
over.
Okay.
They run into something where they
Fence is on
fell
the
in.
concrete wall.
The fence on the
I can't even
concrete
guess the answer
wall
to it
is
until I go there.
not the issue. That's a safety thing. We're okay with
Okay,
that.
that's what I was just asking.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
so the
the
fence
chain.
on the wall is fine. You can keep that. We don't want people falling in either. But the chain link fence that goes around and closes the yard off
I
where
don't care.
Were you
Where
allowed
the
neighbors?
property is.
You allowed our
We
neighbors.
didn't allow them.
No.
We fought with them for a very long
Yeah.
time and
It's
charged them for it,
Mr. and Mrs.
but we did
White.
not allow them.
But they
Don't
pay
get that.
for that fence, Kathy.
Yeah, no,
They
that was
pay
a
for
long
that
way.
fence.
Right, that's
So
why
you-
I'm asking. We pay for our other side or Vance is paying for it.
I think that's.
Or the man's on the other side. Cindy and
Mrs.
Roger.
Mann said that was not on her
We haven't
property.
So, but
I
she
talked,
just said
I
that
talked to her.
Cindy said that it was.
So the
on
Brian and
ours.
Sherry's property.
They're paying for that.
Right.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
I read it, I didn't pronounce it correctly, but, so can we pay for the other
Take a
side?
look at it. I think that's a great idea.
You're getting your wish. We're gonna go look at it.
I would like to go look at it too. So I would move that we table this.
I hear that's a beautiful house, and I've known Arlene for 35 years, and I've never been inside that house. So I hear it's really, really beautiful. I'll go out there and look at the property.
Poor Arlene,
also.
you getting dragged into this stuff.
Arlene.
Should have told him, you're on your own.
Yeah.
Go deal with them.
I would move that we table this to the next meeting so that we have a chance.
But do we need,
Well-
But they also
Say
need
something
to
to
know
the
the
doc?
I second that.
They're just gonna.
We're gonna look at it and
Well,
then
can
we'll
we
talk
get the
about it.
dogs transferred at least with Arlene here, because she's here, and now if we have issues with the fence, it's separate from the dogs. Or
Now,
not,
it is a question.
It is true, we are here for the dock transfer, not for the other
okay,
items, but they do come up at this time in a meeting when we transfer things.
Well, you're requesting to transfer 2 docks, am I correct?
yes,
And I see no problem with transferring the 2 docks, and we will sort out all the rest of it after the transfer.
appreciate
And
that,
hopefully
yeah.
next week or next meeting, we can discuss that.
Okay,
Oh, put a motion.
So with that, I move that we approve the transfer of the 2 docks.
Second it.
One oversized and one
and I'll go home.
undersized.
And the next meeting would be September 9th.
Okay.
To be clear, you don't have to come back, even if we are gonna.
It's great to see you.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve the
That's sweet of
transfer.
you to lie like.
2 docks from Taylor to Reed. Any
She's just
further
not gonna come
discussion?
happy again.
Those in favor?
You're here.
Okay. Transfer is approved.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
Thank you.
Try to be more quiet
Nice
next
to
time.
meet you.
No, it makes it
Tony,
past the time when we have fun.
I talked to Kathy on Sunday.
It does. I like it when people are passionate about their home.
Well, it's a beautiful property, and so it will take a lot of the beauty away from it,
I'm
so.
glad it's staying in the family.
Okay, next up on the agenda is Lake Wabunsee storm damage. And do we have folks here that wants to address the council on that?
The only one that had damage? Right.
No, I don't know why nobody else wanted to come and, I mean, we didn't have as much as others did, but we had enough. That, it's like, new owner, old owners, other people that are fairly new and old. It's like they lost a lot of beautiful trees right on the easement, and we're talking about easement, taking care of, the city's easement. Are we gonna be sending you guys bills to take care of our bills that took companies to come out and clean up the trees that
No,
tore up? Because
no,
I
that's
thought on your statutes, if I went back and looked at some of my papers and you approved all your statutes, if there's anything on the easement, whether it be a tree or something, you guys were accountable, I thought, for helping take care of that. So I'm gonna go back and look at the paper again and look at that, to clarify that.
okay, if this storm had been caused by the city of Eskridge, then yes, we would have been responsible for it. But that's an act of God thing. That's what your insurance will tell you. And it's not any different than the docks that you have out there at the lake. I thought the docks were going upwards of $60,000, and somebody told me a few days ago that they just built the new one and it cost them $100,000 to build a new deck. To put on
No.
a dock, not a deck, a dock on the lake. So my question to the homeowners would be, if you have a dock out there of any value, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, are you going to insure that through your homeowners? Or are you going to not insure it and allow the city to maybe be responsible for it if it gets damaged because it's on the property that you're leasing from us?
Well, for one, we don't have that kind of money to build a $100,000 dock.
Well, that's not
There's
the,
others that do, obviously, but we don't, and some of those are custom made right for
Right.
the bait shop.
right,
And they're brought in from Wichita or wherever the
right,
radios are.
yes,
That we had Bill Ridinger do ours,
yeah,
and we've got that floating one that we'd not be able to get to for how many years and paying our dock fees for. we're gonna have to replace a lot of boards on that.
I'm,
I'm
you're
gonna
right,
come
that's
to
a,
you to ask, you know, if we can
that-
replace board for board.
that's a different issue.
It is a
We're
different
talking,
issue, and I know
we're
the tree
talking
kinda
about
fell
the
on that
tree
too.
damage from the storm.
Yeah.
And that's just my opinion. I think you should check with your homeowner's insurance and see what they had to say about that.
The other question is now that the storms have knocked over these trees, do we need to come in and get permission from you to remove?
I was gonna say, that would be the question I would, because we
Yeah.
have required permission
We
before.
We've been requiring
Because
permission
I
for
have
us to
heard
take down the trees when the trees are down.
But they're
We'd
damn.
like to get them removed.
These are down trees, so if they're just down there.
And people taking advantage.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I want to interrupt everybody for just a quick minute, please. I'm starting to get frustrated because everybody's having a sidebar.
Not
We can't-
everybody.
We can't hear the people talk, can't hear their explanations, and everybody's talking amongst themselves. So please, one person at a time talk so we can all hear and understand what's going on, okay? If you want to talk, wait till somebody stops to take a breath and then jump in. But don't everybody jump in at the same time. So go ahead. Can I get your name, by the way? I didn't
I'm
get it.
Connie Martin.
Connie Martin, okay.
Yeah. I work at district court in Elmer. I live at the lake full-time now. But I was just kind of concerned because there are others, we're not the only neighbors that have issues, but there are some that, you know, they got trees that have fallen and they can't get to their docks because they're waiting, you know, and they're having to pay like thousands of dollars to get somebody to come out there and move them and get permission. So we're wanting to know, do we have to ask permission from you all to do that, to get those out of the lake?
The permission,
off of our
I think the
staff?
permission issue was involving people that had trees that were standing and they just wanted to cut them down so they can have a better view of the lake. Things of that nature, but the storm's blown it down.
Yeah.
You know, I don't see where that's necessary, that you have to get permission from us to have those trees removed.
If they're down.
My only
they're down.
concern is that I have had people come to me and tell me that people at the lake are taking advantage of this storm and say they wanted that oak tree down for their view for a very long time. And we're going to cut it down because it had storm damage. You didn't get to see it, but we're telling you it did.
That's a can of worms, though. I mean, unless you
Yeah.
took a picture of the
Right.
morning that sun dawned
But that's why I'm
to
saying
see it
you
still
can't
standing
just
there. What are you gonna do?
Well, but
because
there
a
is-
free for all will be taken full advantage of.
Is there a tree on the ground? Horizontal, not vertical.
I know we had a tree fall down right on our church
Ugh.
and we
It's damaged the church.
damaged the church and stuff, but we have cut it up right away. We got somebody out there to
I was
cut
gonna
it
say,
up.
most people
and,
wouldn't be waiting around for permission.
because we didn't wait for permission for it.
I mean, you could have your
on St.
road
Alexis.
blocked in and whatnot. You need to get that tree out of the way sometimes, so. I don't think it's necessary. I don't know.
You guys, yeah, you're gonna have to figure out an answer here because I think it's.
At this time, how many people have called?
I have received calls from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different properties.
You never called because I was gonna come anyway.
And I know several people out there that have gone ahead and started the process of getting the trees cut up and moved off of off of your property after they have fallen down.
And I did take
Yeah.
pictures on my phone to show you if you have to see proof that they were,
Down.
and you did that, you know. There are a lot of old trees there, and they're kind of growing out of the rocks.
I've been out to the lake since the storm happened Wednesday night. I haven't been on anybody's property to check out behind them. Just went around to see what the damage was like.
Well, you're welcome out there anytime, Jen.
Okay. I'm definitely going back out there again, if nothing else, but to look at the one house that we just talked about.
Well, Mary Reed had a lot.
And she had about 4 trees.
I saw several trees that were uprooted.
You had some on your
Mhm.
campsites and stuff too. Labor Day weekend's coming up, and you want people to come out there and camp and bring in some money to the community, you
Okay,
know?
they've gotten quite a bit of them done the
Oh,
last.
good.
The guys have been out there working to get it cleared.
And that's, you gotta give the city crew credit. There's only 3 of them.
Mhm.
And not only did they have the responsibility of cleaning that up, but they've got their own daily responsibilities to make sure we still have gas and water going to everybody. So they don't always have.
But I think that's the big thing. We know that you're probably not gonna help us finance the cleanup. But at the same time, we wanna know whether we have to come in and get a permit to cut up the tree that's fallen over.
No. It just, like Brett said, I'm just gonna throw this out there. Just don't cut down a tree that's still standing because you don't want it there. Okay,
We want shade,
yeah,
especially now.
yes. Does that make sense, Jerry? And you're gonna put it in the newsletter tonight? Okay, thank you.
Delusional.
Okay, anybody else wanna throw in their voices about the lake damage? Robin, would you come in here a minute, please?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to know if you're actively helping Mike and Jim and Barry clean that up out there.
I
Pardon?
am, yes, sir. Got 5 loads today.
And
Picked up.
are you taking them to the dump or leaving them for the campers to use in their campfires?
I'm burning them. I'm burning limbs
Okay,
in a pile that I always burn in. Just my truckloads, that's where I usually take them, or I've been taking them down by the dam. Just depends on where I'm working.
okay.
Because there's one down in the pine as well, so. I have options as where to put them. Just gotta burn them.
Honey, thank you.
Do you want me to leave them in fire pit?
Well, I wouldn't be against that, no. I mean, that'd be one way.
I'll leave log and so I leave those, but this I just burn them.
And I have to give credit to Lakewood Bunch Improvement District, because we've been helping people. I think if they put brush and stuff up by the road, we've been picking it up and taking it out to our burn pile.
And I believe they work with,
Most of this material comes off of
and I
your
believe that,
property.
I believe LWID also worked with Mike and Jim and Barry, cleaning up some of the north side too, to get the roads cleared right away on Thursday. That was the biggest mess that I saw. Okay, we ready to move on? Okay, next up is Eskridge Housing Authority.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize. Is there another reason to be on the agenda, Brett, besides what I'm talking about?
I don't think so.
You want to come up here so the camera can pick you up better because they can't hear the audience very often.
And while she's waiting, I had contacted
Whatever.
Stephanie Imthern, and she was gonna come to this meeting, but she's out of town and won't be back till around Labor Day. So
Who's
she
that?
will come.
Who is it?
Stephanie Imthern of Muncie County,
Oh,
or the Economic Development. So she will come back to a meeting and talk to us again more about how to utilize the housing board to work better for the city and some different projects that we could do and utilize. But Carrie's here as a part of board members to just.
Yeah. And going along with what you said, we've looked at a lot of different options, like the Kansas Bring Them Home program, which is people who grew up in Kansas, moved away, coming back home to a better Kansas, and some of the other programs that are out there for elderly or economically disadvantaged, that type of thing. We've also looked at things like renovating places to rent, building 1 or 2 bedroom rentals, providing monies for other people to renovate so they can rent out the housing, a lot of different options like that. But one of the things that we ran across is that we can't start any of this without our budget back. So I know that there was money that was taken from the housing authority and put in general fund or put under a general fund column or whatever. Because Ollie was in the process of leaving and all of that kind of stuff. But in order for us to do our planning, we need to have funds back. So that's what I'm approaching it right now.
Would $14.30 be a good start?
That is a heck of a start because it is more than we have right now. So I'm not sure of the exact figure that was in there, and I know they closed the count. I'm not sure exactly.
Remember that sheet? I got it in my car.
Okay, yes, would you please? Thank you. There's my
You
better
wanna know
half.
what's in there?
Yes, please.
$114,429.74.
Nice.
Is that a line item or is that,
Some of the things that we've been looking at,
That's the sale of the
strictly
apartment.
Prairie
Yeah.
Wind.
So not that we're supposed to
Yeah,
use.
it's a line item.
Technically,
Sale.
Eskridge Housing Authority, they just sold it, closed it.
And that's the total for both of the accounts that we have back?
So they're gonna squirrel it away on whatever.
That is.
Who's
Prairie
gonna-
Wind
who's gonna squirrel it
Apartments is
away?
the line item.
No,
I'm just wondering,
because-
So I'm
that
assuming all of the
wasn't
funds
that
from
meant
housing were-
to fix or do something with the building?
No,
Oh, okay.
that was a rumor. There's no contracts at all.
and also
signing.
housing authorities aren't going to do anything without coming to you guys because we fall under you. So, I mean, if we have a plan that looks really good, that is, sound, scientifically research based, and we're like, hey, this is working elsewhere, we're going to approach you. I mean, we're not just going to run out there and do what we want.
But considering what happened, I would expect that there would be close eyes on that money.
Right.
On how it's spent regardless
Right.
of who gets it.
And one of the things that I was thinking about last night, Terry, that we had not talked about, any of us yet, I probably should wait for her to get back, was that whenever, checks are written, there should be somebody from the city council as one of those people writing the check. I mean, there needs to be, account. But we would like to be able to lend people money at either no or very low interest rate to do some of the things that they could do to be able to provide renters a place to live.
What's the benefit of the city for doing that?
What do you mean, what's the benefit to the city for
What's the
helping
benefit
people
to the
live?
city of Eskridge? What is the benefit to the city of Eskridge for helping people renovate their homes so that they can get it rented for someone else?
Okay, well,
I suppose if it was unlivable, the home was unlivable.
right,
Can I talk?
yeah,
And our
go ahead,
goal-
go ahead.
The goal is we want the town to grow or even survive, but there's no place for anybody to live.
Well,
And also,
nobody's gonna wanna come live in a town with a main street that looks like ours. We need to
if
work
you let
on
me
Main Street.
finish, also the housing authority is also to promote businesses. So not only homes, but it's also to promote businesses.
Right.
So we can't do that without our money, which is $114,429.74.
And we've seen where a lot of businesses growing isn't necessarily downtown business. And I agree that the downtown needs to look better and be usable. But a lot of the younger people are moving back rural because they can do work online. They've got, they're entrepreneurs. I mean, it's
People
just
want
amazing.
to move back,
They
or
do.
even not even back. People want to move out here. There's just no place to live.
Right.
There's houses for sale.
Constantly. Who?
There's houses for sale.
Houses for sale, it's for
House-
rent are two different things.
Right. There's no rentals here. And I mean, I get asked constantly, and I'm sure other people do too. When my son was trying to move back here, he had to leave his wife and kids and live with his brother because there was no place for him to move his family to. And we've got tons of vacant houses. So if the city had some money, maybe we could purchase one of those vacant houses, and fix, and then maybe it takes time. How do you eat an elephant? One
So-
bite at a time.
And some of these people may fix up a building downtown if they can purchase
You
it
don't know
from
who you're
whoever
gonna
owns
have
it.
come
So
in.
you guys have looked at public housing around the town.
Mhm.
Have you considered the businesses downtown that have second floors and converting them to apartments?
Mhm.
You
I
have,
think it would be great as long as,
and
I can
that,
only think of one building that's actually
yeah, we would have
capable
to
of
actually look
doing that,
into them more.
because a lot of the buildings have been left to disintegrate.
Dilapidating, yeah.
And the business owners, the people who own those businesses should be
I
fixing
know
them.
that Stephanie M. Thurn has access to a lot of grants
Mhm.
to help,
And with
to
other
help rural
towns.
communities developing.
And a lot of those grants here, you have to have, they're like matching grants. So you have to have the money,
Yeah.
and then they match
I
what you
think
have.
Annie can vouch for how those grants work.
But also, if you live downtown livens up. Eventually, it's like, oh wow, people are hanging out downtown. I gotta make some money off that, and the process starts. There's a lot of options, but
So I guess that's, the whole reason that the housing authority is here. We just want to know.
promote business, promote better living for the people that live here.
I hope this is not a dumb question, but is the IGA building that the city owns out of question for renovation?
I would have to actually look at what it looks like.
Are you talking about renovation to the housing authority for?
It's not out of
Apartments
Put
upstairs.
apartments
Yeah.
inside of that thing.
If it's able to be done
Have you
constructively.
been in
Well, I mean,
the
that would-
IGA building?
That would be a thought.
Lord, no.
It is not safe.
It's not safe.
I was
But
in there many
however,
years
it
ago.
is a space,
Yeah.
so it would be cleared out and something else erected there.
That's what I was
You know.
shooting for. City hall downstairs and
Mhm.
apartments upstairs.
That'd be awesome.
A lot of
Sure
people like that life. They don't want to maintain a yard.
Right.
They like
Yeah.
the apartment life.
Do you guys have Stephanie's number?
Mhm.
I don't.
Somebody on our committee does, right?
Yes.
If you guys don't, get with me because I've got it.
Brett, you're still, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, as I say, she's got grants, I know, access to grants to work on renovating buildings like that, to go put them into apartments, and I like what you said.
Mhm.
But the city hall downstairs, I mean, we need a bigger building for
Yeah.
city hall anyway.
Then you can renovate this and make it an apartment.
There you go, you can take
Or
care
a
of
business.
Or a
That's a
museum.
thought.
I really want our little museum in Eskridge. There's so much history here that a lot of people just don't know about, but that's okay.
Get the people here first, then worry about
Yeah.
the museum.
If you build it, then no time.
So is this money then available to us? I mean, it's what?
It's, as far as I'm aware, it's supposed to
I
be.
mean, it's
because
supposed to be ours, right?
I mean, that's, I think, arguable, but
We're gonna need-
I mean, how so?
it wasn't the housing authority's money in the sense that, like, literally it was sold and then supposed to be closed and then transferred into the city accounts. Maybe I'm
Well, I
spitting
mean,
outside of my mouth.
our, this is an interesting concept.
Right.
But wasn't the
Yeah.
House Authority
Well, I mean, it
designed for
was,
that?
well, designed, yeah, to operate a multi-family apartment complex.
But it was under the housing authority.
Yeah. And
That's never been absolved, right?
Mm-mm.
dissolved.
Dissolved.
No.
You haven't been absolved. But
It hasn't sinned.
We haven't been absolved or
Lately.
absolved.
Yeah, well, I mean, the separate, in as much as there's a separate entity that is a corporation, which appears to be the case, it can't hold funds. The question kind of is whether the city can control that other than through the process of appointments. Okay, so what I mean is that once that money goes into an account under the control of the housing authority, this body technically doesn't have any more authority over the money.
That's my concern.
Even though we're under you?
Yeah, and well, there were people under us, under the city before, and,
Well,
and the amount of control the city had was not.
And there is currently right now too, so.
But I think any large, huge project, I mean, besides your day in and day out, you know, we got to do this or that, any large amount of money should be coming in front of you anyway for any fund that's out there. And you guys would, you know, be assigned to, or, when we get back from Tahiti, then we'll talk. But
That's recorded, you know?
Yeah.
We have 3, possibly 4 on the council, so there's a lot of accountability. There's, of course, you would never give that amount of money to one person to control. There's again. So we
mean,
want to
there's-
know if when we make our plans, that we have this $114,429.74 to go off of.
Todd, what is your legal thought? Do we need to look into that?
Well, there's a practical thought and a legal thought. The legal thought is that just what we said, the fact of the matter is that no matter how many controls are in place, somebody can get around them. So, you take that risk. No cure for it.
Well, then that person would be prosecuted.
Yeah, you'd think, wouldn't you?
Well, what's keep city council
Thank you.
from doing it? You guys are no different than us.
Well, the fact of the matter, I don't know that the city council has to have 3 signatures on their check.
Well, and that's
And
kind of
I'll
what
also
we
tell
were
you,
thinking.
too,
And yeah, we are too.
and I'll tell you another story. City of Auburn.
Does
one
it
of my
start
cities-
once upon a time?
City clerk stole $176,000 from the city of Auburn. Not one approval by a council member. They had a stamp for the mayor's signature and their signature, and they forged another one. So,
So it can happen anywhere.
it can
and
happen
anytime.
anywhere at any time.
Really common.
Yeah. So.
And
I
so
think
that's why that's the legal question. The practical question is whether or not the council wants to use the money for that purpose. And I'm going to come out and say it because I've heard these funds being proffered as
All allocated to the lake and the park. Well, unless the town grows, who's going to play in the park? Who's going to go to the lake? I mean, don't you guys want the town to grow so that we can get more people at the park and get more donations and more fundraisers, and the same with the lake? I mean,
We
how
have people
long
that
can
really
this?
want that money for the park. We have people that really want that money for the lake. But deep down, I think everybody here knows that we have to take care of that building across the street.
Yes.
And when we very first got that money, that's what we thought that we would do with it. Ultimately, my opinion is it came from the housing authority. And if we can use that money, use the housing authority to do something with that dang building.
Go into a partnership.
Boy,
and do it
howdy, I'm all
together.
all in favor of it. We've got to make that building safe.
Yeah, and
With you, Tim.
also
You
doesn't-
have to fix both of the buildings that building has caused damage as well. You can't just be like, oh, we're
Unleash them and
fixed
see
all
what
up
they come
and
up with.
sorry about your guys'
we just need
buildings.
somebody that knows
Yeah,
what they're
we're
doing
gonna have
and look.
Do you have a wall agreement? A shared wall agreement?
It's called a
Shared
nerve wall, yeah.
Party wall.
Party wall. Agreement. They used to have agreements on them. They've probably been lost over time.
We didn't have
They don't have to even be in writing. I mean,
Right.
technically, the duty is on
when I
party
used to
that's
share a
taking
wall,
down
we
the
just
wall
split the cost
to
when it needed
support
repair.
it. So the first thing you need, and I think that was what the structural engineer said, didn't he?
Mm.
Basically, you have to start by shoring up those sidewalls.
I think shoring it up, but not necessarily the tuck pointing.
Tuck pointing is an essential thing that you would have to do to both of those
This is fun.
adjoining buildings.
It is very off topic though. We probably should, right?
Well, I mean, that's nature of the beast, I think. It's got to be. somebody's
We don't
gotta
even
do
have
it.
a starting point on that building. And so
But we
talking about
can
it's not
get,
gonna
but we
do
can
That's
get
what our-
that.
but
I
that's
mean,
our job.
That's our job is to do that.
I say we let them turn them loose.
And then
I don't like the phrase "turn them loose."
I don't either.
you obviously don't know us
I
like
think they
Jerry.
should go ahead. I think they should pursue their projects and then get back with us and tell us what's going on and update us on that.
I would like Stephanie to come
Yes.
and talk to us because there are a couple highlighted things. She's really excited about this potential opportunity because Eskridge is the only one that has a housing board in the county right now. She's really pushing that. So I think we should just wait till they come. But we also have another project.
today.
But I'd also, and I'm not an attorney, so I'm not even gonna pretend that I am. But I think the budget management from the state of Kansas says that if it's under, like, they use the Fireman Association as an example, then it stays under the Fire Association. It's not the city's just randomly to go into general fund.
It's not, I mean, it's
Well, it's a general-
accounting
It's not-
wise,
yeah,
it's
it's not
not,
in the
it's in
general
its own
fund.
fund.
Okay, thank you, because
To
everybody kept getting
clarify
those
that,
two words.
we're not taking
Okay,
out of it.
Okay, okay,
So
because-
general fund is our.
because I was hearing
money.
general fund, meaning
Yeah.
bank account, general fund, accounting, and I was like, those are two
Accounting's
different
fun
things.
because there's really not more
Okay.
than one account going
Alright.
on, but we're separating them
Got it.
ourselves.
Yeah.
But, the-
Yes.
but
But whatever.
the law, yeah,
Has
the
to
law
go
does
in.
not recognize the fact that there is a separate fund for that. Meaning that it is technically would belong if it were commingled as a general fund item. The general fund, there's enterprise funds, there's special highways. And every other subdivision you make,
So it can't be a general fund under
it could be.
the accounting for the city, or I mean, its own fund, or can it?
It could be its own fund. I'm just saying that doesn't have any meaning legally, other than meaning there's restrictions on transfers between certain funds.
Right.
And you can't create a fund that then cannot be that is a general fund that cannot be kept in that.
Somebody's ringing.
So I mean, it's just
Let's just say it's earmarked.
yeah, it is earmarked.
I'll just
It
do
is
that.
in a
Because the way
separate.
I understood it is it was just kind of being held there because you need to close the other account.
No, I don't know that we have any other.
I don't think there was a desire to put it back into its own account with someone else's oversight, like it is city money technically.
Right.
Right.
That's what I.
Okay, but what-
Which you guys would be
but what
coming
makes
to
it
the
that?
city and then
I guess that's why I'm
we're
asking.
getting it.
Mhm.
Is why is it city money and not association money?
That's what, I don't know.
Well, to me, just speaking out loud here, the council has a responsibility of telling the mayor, who has a responsibility of telling the person that's in charge of the authority what needs to be done.
Mhm.
And if they do anything, and the Eskridge Housing Authority, whatever they want, there is no accountability. It's going to require that the city council stay on top of what you guys are doing.
Right, right.
And if you're going to be spending any money, you've got to come in here and tell us what it is that you're doing. And the council's going to have to decide whether they want to go for that or not. And if they do, then they will direct the mayor to direct the housing authority to conduct that event.
Which is exactly what I suggested at the very beginning. I just wondered what made it city money versus housing authority money when the money came in.
Yeah, that's right.
Because
That's
that's
what I was
what-
asking Todd
and-
for
So
it's
legal
really-
opinion on.
Because it appears like it's association.
What I've gotten out of this is it's not city money.
No, that's not true. I don't think that's
That
the case.
it's the housing authority
It was a
and
sale.
that we do our research and we bring it to you guys. And you guys say yay or nay. And then if it's yay, we move on. We
Well,
go make a different plan if it's not.
I'm not going to concede here today that the money belongs to any particular party other than the
Right,
city.
right.
So, yeah, that's not, and I think what the mayor is saying is we need more than just this is what we're thinking.
Mhm.
And that's what
But I
a bunch of
can't
county
do,
gallows.
we can't do a whole lot of that without knowing that it is a fund for the housing authority. Because I can look at different options under, oh, we might have 15,000, oh, we might have 100,000. I mean, we kind of need to make our own budgets and our own, all those things. We can't have a
Just-
figure that was sorry.
Just for the sake of time, let's continue this discussion on September 9th at our next meeting. And between now and then, if you will come up with some projects and get with Stephanie and see what they can do and get some ideas on what kind of money you might be needing to do your project, or anybody else that's got projects going on, and come up with and tell us about it. And then we can decide if we're going to go that way route or not. Does everybody understand what I'm saying?
I think that's a good idea. I would also ask that, and I don't know which one of you guys would do this, research and find out how that transition was made.
Well, I think
Because
that's why I asked Todd. I think
if it
that's
was
a
sold
legal
under housing
issue that needs to
authority,
be looked
right.
at.
I think the intention was actually to close down the housing authority with the sale of the property, and that did not happen.
It did not
Yeah,
have
it
any
should
property
have
managed.
Right.
Um,
It was a closure type thing. That's why it was transferred the way it was. And those
Actually,
accounts were closed.
actually, I don't think that's exactly the reason why it was transferred
That's
the way it was.
the way it was. That's how I understood it when I was on.
I understood it was to get the money to safekeeping because
Right.
it was being spent and then permission to spend was being requested and denied. So.
If I remember right, that's what was said in council.
Well,
meeting.
here's the other question, and I just wanted to be clear about this. The plan of having, improving dilapidated homes and stuff and renting them out is the idea that these properties would be put in the city's name or the housing authority's name or in a land bank, and then they're improved, or we improve the property of somebody who owns.
I'm not really prepared to answer that because I have to look at the pros and cons of all of that and probably talk to you and
Well, I
figure out
tell
how
you-
you do that. Yeah.
Well, I'm telling you one thing is that it's not going to be when the private owner owns it.
No.
Oh, no.
No, we were thinking
It's a
city
way to
actually.
make the city to make money, the housing authority make more money, so we can keep making improvements.
So we can keep making money.
An example is they had a grant. So like if the housing authority had $40,000, there was a grant a year ago that's probably not available now, but this is just for to explain it better. Then we would get a grant and it would pay 2/3, so that would give us 80s, and then we would Eskridge, the housing authority, would build a small two-bedroom home here in Eskridge on a lot, and then they would turn
Big
around
lot.
and sell it, and then that money would go back to the housing, and they would start over doing the same
Yeah,
thing.
start building.
Okay. Yeah. It's
And
just
I
that-
do
it's
like
just
the
that-
IGA idea, Tim. I really do.
It's just the idea that there's a private owner who gets the benefit of it.
Now,
And that's not-
we had talked about if a private owner needed to borrow money for a rental. We had kind of talked about that and tossed it around, but I don't think we really decided that would be, yeah. I'm just saying that was something that we talked about and kind of tossed, but yeah. Then you start running into all kinds of issues and
Especially in such a small town.
Yeah.
I really like the idea of converting the IGA to
I do
to
too.
City Hall with apartments upstairs. That would be ideal.
Tim, would you be willing to meet with us on that?
Willing to do what?
Would you be willing to meet with us on that sometime?
Sure.
Okay, so do we have anybody want to suggest we move it to September 9th for pending information?
Move the table to September 9th.
Second. The whole table.
Thanks, guys.
All right,
Thank
motion to move the Eskridge Housing Authority conversation to September 9th by Tim, seconded by Jason. Everybody in favor? All
Is
in
that the
favor?
very next meeting?
Yes,
Yeah.
2 weeks.
It's September very
I
soon.
know. Can we put it out? Because isn't that when you do lake business?
No,
No,
this
that's-
is the late
That's
meeting.
We're doing lake business right now.
I
We
got
were
mixed
on
up. So it's the second one of the month that's it's clear.
Yeah.
Lake is lake.
No, it's lake.
The second Monday is city, the
First
fourth
meeting
Monday
is city,
is.
second meeting is lake.
How many,
Lake
how
is
many
lake.
council members does it take to screw in a light bulb?
Okay,
How many are budgeted?
Fourth Monday, the second meeting.
if we're gonna get out of here by 8:30, we need to move on.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
First meeting of the month, yeah.
Okay, Annie,
Oh, fun.
park board update.
This timing is interesting. Okay. As you guys know, we are working on the CDBG, Community Development Block Grant. It's one of the largest grants that is offered. Previously, we've done smaller projects like the bandstand as a grant, but we're actually trying to get as much as we humanly can shoved into this grant to knock out all of the projects so that you guys can stop hearing about us all the time. Because sometimes fundraisers kind of fall off. I sent you a very long packet from our architect that is the preliminary architectural report. You can skip to the page that has the numbers outlined on it. I thought they had numbers, but they don't. Sorry. Do they line it?
That's what I'm saying.
Mine doesn't. Oh, 15. That page doesn't have a number on it. Did anybody get a chance to look at this prior to the meeting?
Negative.
Okay, so just to be clear, I mean, you've obviously looked at it.
I'm sorry, please catch me up. What page did you see this?
15. It's a lot of detailed information, but I'm just gonna skip right down to the bold print, which says subtotal playground year 24. That 70,000 is the number we're actually looking at. The highlighted one below that is much larger, obviously, and that is because she's projecting it all the way to 2028. And that's just a thing that they require her to do. So we're not actually talking about that 93,000. We're talking about the bold number, so 70,000. So I'm just going to run through what we got estimates for, and then I'm going to hand it to Jennifer, and she's going to kind of present on our behalf. But I just want you guys to have an understanding of what we got quoted. So number one, playground is actually the mulch in the playground, and this talks about replacing the wood mulch with rubber mulch, as well as like there's a couple wear mats that have to be added for the spinning pieces. So that total makes 70,000, and that's literally removal, replacement, the whole 9 yards.
Are you saying it's gonna take 80,000, 70,000 to remove the mulch and replace it?
Yes, but if you read all the way through that, you would see the full breakdown. This is what the architect is estimating the cost will be. Some of these things we can obviously reduce by using volunteers, and other things, you know, they might be higher. We don't know until we go to actually bid it out. So yeah, 70,000 is the estimate. A couple of those price increases is like around the whirligig spinner. It requires a pour-in-place surfacing because it can't move. Basically, the kids will fall off and get hurt if it moves around. To oversimplify. I'm going to just roll through this really quickly, and then if you have any questions, let me know. The next one's remodeling the existing restroom. At this point, we're talking about pulling everything in it out, fixing it, and replacing it with ADA compliant restroom. I think we can still fit 2 bathrooms in there with some finagling, but it is wide enough to accommodate ADA. And that one's 41,000.
That won't get us in trouble with KDWP or whoever it was.
No, she actually personally came in. Oh, because that's the roofing portion. I don't think so. What?
I thought they
The
built
conservation grant.
All you have to
No.
do is let them know that you're
Yeah.
keeping it.
I'm
and
so
they're
sorry.
not
I was
gonna bump it all.
But
They're
also,
gonna
we're
be
not
happy you're doing
actually tearing the building down. We're just pulling
I don't know
the
what the
innards out.
guidelines are. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure that we're not.
Yeah, and we
crossing
would
anything.
make sure we wouldn't conflict any previous grants. Number 3 is the topographic utility location capacity survey and mapping. We find this is pretty important because we need to know where to put stuff before we actually do it. I don't have all the technical detail on that, but it's pretty important to the entire scope. Number 4 is creek bed. That's riprap. I don't know. I can't remember the word. So clearing out that creek bed and riprapping it so it stops clogging up or losing all of its lining through the years. That's 67,000. Number 5 is underground electrical. This is the big piece that we really want. Right now, it's all above ground. Most grants really don't like you to have any above ground. So in the future, this would help us get other grants, as well as run electrical. So the flagpoles would be lit properly. The bandstand could be lit and decorated at holidays and used for events. What's the other thing?
Sound system.
Sound what? Yeah, fall festival. So like vendors we could have set up, because our goal is really to have lighting poles that have electrical outlets in them so people can hook up. So this is just the underground electrical portion. We actually separated the lighting out, but it is later. Court is the tennis court. This will turn into a multi-purpose. This includes the fence, whole 9, like resurfacing, fixing the concrete. But it would be a half basketball, full tennis, and 2 pickleball courts. In the end, that's 109,000. 7 and 7A are split kind of funny because in total we need 3 arch pedestrian bridges, roughly where the two are that exist now. And then we're actually gonna put a third closer to the end. What side is that? 5th Street? To connect the sidewalks so that people don't have to go on the street to get from one sidewalk to the next.
Well, I just can't, I don't mean to interrupt you. I just can't understand why that wasn't done when the sidewalk was put in to begin with.
We didn't have the funds for any of the bridges, if that's what you're. Oh, the creek bed. We didn't want to fill it in or anything.
No, to put a bridge over it like they did on the north side.
Well, that funding was for the sidewalks. We were trying to not take it all, basically, just trying to do a portion at a time. So the rest
That
of the
year we
city.
didn't have any excess to spend anyway.
No, and culverting the other side was pretty rough on. Well, but it was a bit. So that's split so that we could do 2 or 1 bridge at a time. 8 is walk lights. This is our lamp posts that I was just talking about. I think she's estimating it's a 16, 20-foot tall poles. That's 90,000. The pavilion you can ignore for now. We can't afford it because it's $846,000. So it strikes that out for now. And then trees of the billion. I think this is just replacing memorial trees that we'd have to remove in that process. So 9 and 10, we're just bumping off right now. We don't need to worry about them. 11 is limestone benches. These are benches that are going to go in around the sidewalk on either side of the bandstand. Those are to kind of keep in with the theme of the area with stone, but also to offer like permanent seating for events and concerts and stuff like that. That says 31,000. I think that's actually about right. And then I think this is the last, is picnic tables. That includes pads and ADA picnic tables as well. All that in really shorthand. If you flip to the very last page, I put together kind of an estimate, but we'll go back to that after I think Jennifer talks. Are you ready?
Trade your spots.
And her letters in here as well. I think it's at the back.
Because honestly, I'm gonna just read it, introduce myself. I know a lot of you know my history and know who I am, but maybe there's some who don't. I'm Jennifer Krause. I've lived in Eskridge for 7 years. I work in Emporium, the Assistant Director for Business for Emporium Recreation Commission. So that is the Emporium Rec Center, but we operate with a board. And so between being a board member and then being a staff member, I've been involved with Parks and Rec for over 30 years. And when I moved to Eskridge, just wanted to meet new people and serve my new community. And I asked Annie if I could join the park board. I didn't know a soul. Said I might have some park knowledge. I could probably help with something. As you know, Eskridge Park Foundation is applying for the CDBG grant this fall to fund some final major projects for our city park. This grant specifically funds projects to increase, and this is on their website, to increase community engagement, health, connectedness, and vibrancy in communities through community centers, parks, and libraries. So that is the very specific CDBG grant that we're applying for. They do other major federal grants for sewers and water systems, but this one is specifically to do with parks. I won't read. You guys all have my letter, but well, anyway, I won't read to you all the great things we've done, but since 2019, we have raised over $144,000. We've hosted several successful capital campaigns, and several of those were matching campaigns as well. We've applied for and received many grants, which again have some of them have fallen in conjunction with those matching campaigns. So we've gotten double duty out of that money, which has been great. Just a note on there, it says 2021 through 2023 Turnbull grants. Annie just got money in again today, and that's from Mike Turnbull's foundation. So we have another big check from them to add to our account. What we've done with park funds, I don't mention sidewalks because those aren't money we've raised, but we've renovated the historic bandstand. We put the new flagpoles over near the Veterans Memorial. We purchased a new playground. We put in a stone entry sign, and we've done all the landscaping so far. More of that to come. You can kind of see a summary at the bottom there. The first one we did was our 110 campaign, and that is met up with that Important Community Foundation match day. So $22,000 there. I think that next year was during COVID, and the city and the Flint Hills Bank graciously came up with another match campaign, and we made $42,000. And then we applied for those Kansas Department of Revenue tax credits that ran in the years 22 and 23, and we made $52,000. And then we've had some great memorial contributions. When the church here closed, they gave us some money, and then we, with our blood, sweat, and tears, have fundraisers like bingo and things that take all of our time and talent and are exhausting. But between all of those things, that is kind of how our money breaks down. So y'all know I'm here. With this letter, I'm asking the city of Eskridge to put $50,000 toward the CDBG grant application for Eskridge City Park. This grant pays $3 for every dollar we have on hand. I can think of no better return on the city's money than what this grant offers. Annie already kind of explained the whole grant to you. We've done all the work. We've got, it's ready to go. They postponed our deadline, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I don't remember when it was, but it's now November 1st.
I thought it was September 30th.
Maybe,
originally.
yeah.
we've
So
got
anyway,
another month.
they did that and bought us a little time, which is great. She broke down in that document different options for different amounts of money. If we have this in our account, we can get this. My two options were just, we currently have $70,000 with today's money from the Turnbull Trust. I think we're closer to $80,000, which is awesome. 78,000.
78 something.
But yeah, so every dollar that we have available in our account, or just, I think he even said just available to us as an account balance, we have the opportunity to make $3 on every dollar. So we already, as a park board, and all of the park people are back here, which is awesome. We already kind of went through that list you saw, and we chose what we thought were probably the top 5 things that we could do with the money we have now. And none of them are super exciting, but they have to be done. The rubber mulch, the electrical work burying the lines, the newly renovated bathroom. We figured line the creek bed first before we do bridges. So we put creek bed as one of our top ones. And then they kind of insisted that mapping all utilities was important before we do any more work. Even though I think that sounds boring, that one is critical to future things that we would do. So those are the ones we picked with the money we have now. With any additional funds, our next priority would be multi-surface court, or 3 new bridges, right?
Two
and that's
new
with
bridges.
the $50,000 we're asking for. We can have
No, that's without. No, look at this.
70 is with. Oh, sorry.
If we get 100,
Right.
I mean,
if
so
we had 100 in our account.
yeah. So I guess to clarify, we are up for another match grant that starts November 1st and will go to the
with
15th.
KRCF, yes.
With KRCF, because we're about 78,000. The Patterson Foundation is again matching $10,000, so we can at least get 20,000, but likely closer to 30,000. So our goal is to hit 100,000 with donated foundation funds.
But that money won't be available we won't have that money before November 1st.
But we can still declare it toward, yes, that's what he was saying.
Yay.
We don't have to have it in hand, but we know that we're going to get it, basically.
Okay, so our goal, obviously, is to finish this project, to be done with park fundraising, and to be done with grant writing, and to let these guys get back to their lives, for heaven's sake. So our goal is to get a major grant, finish as many big things as we can, and then going forward, what this committee would like to do is have events in the park. Create a way to fundraise annually to maintain, like to provide money for a maintenance fund, because that falls all on you guys right now. And if we're going to keep spending community money that people have donated, it makes really good sense to me that we would want to maintain that. For instance, the bandstand floor already needs to be scraped and repainted, and that's only been probably 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So within that grant, within that architect's report that you have, she estimated a very high number for park maintenance. I think it was 39,000. I don't know that that's true, but I do know that you know, the more expensive products we use to put it in, the less maintain we have to maintain. But our goal going forward is a maintenance fund of some sort, you know, a 3-on-3 basketball tournament on the tennis court, or, you know, just some things like that that we can offer to Eskridge. We can start programming and start instead of fundraising. So we're kind of excited to get to that point.
Mhm.
So just to sum up the dollar thing, like if we had 120,000 available at the time we submit this grant, we have the ability to bring $360,000 to Eskridge for our park, for a total of $480,000 for park projects. So that 3-to-1 match, I don't know that where you would find that anywhere else in the near future. Like, we've done some really hard work to get to this point where we can apply for that grant. So that is our ask. It's, you know, obviously up to you guys, but I think that would be a great use of city money when we can bring that $3 extra back to you. So
And then I like numbers a lot, so I crunched a whole bunch of options on the back page. If you flip all the way to the back, Terry, I think it's
yeah, Annie gave you a bunch of different scenarios.
so
basically.
the first two like shaded in, or if we only have that 100,000, we get 400,000 with the total match with the grant. Option one has all the things we feel are must-haves, plus the multi-purpose court or the 2 pedestrian bridges, as well as the limestone benches, just to kind of fill it out. And those are about 400,000 total, the grant options, obviously. So I have option one, option two, and then I went up to 125,000 if we were able to match that. So say if we got 100,000 and the council gives us 25, I did include like both the, it doesn't seem right on my thing. What am I looking at different? The multi-purpose court and the bridges together on option one, or the multi-purpose court with the walk lights was another option too. Obviously, if we're asking for the 50,000, so if you go to that fifth line there, that doesn't have a title on top, but it's, so that would give us $600,000 total grant money. That would get us everything except the 3rd pedestrian bridge and the picnic tables, which we could actually try to get through memorial donations, I'm hoping. And if we could do 100,000 from you and 100,000 from us, that would max the grant out, and we'd actually get everything except for that pavilion roof done. That's just to show you how this all falls in. I'm not asking for that amount. I don't think we maybe have that, but I'd actually have to get some more projects to add. Because a sprinkler system, watering at the new place, and then donor signage is something that we've not bid out yet. And we need to do, recognize the previous donors we've had. So, do you guys have any questions for me? What are your questions for me?
So you say you have 78,000 roughly on hand now?
Yes, I got a check today for $7,750, and we had 70,500 and something on hand already. So 78 and some change.
So I'm gonna assume that based on the previous presentation that we had, that you're wanting some Eskridge Housing Authority money
Now,
as well.
so yeah, I mean, initially I was gonna say, and I actually thought maybe we could break it up between the 1% sales tax, like 25,000 and 25,000 from that. But after having them come and present, I'm not gonna throw that out there now. So I'm not asking for that money specifically at all. I understand that it's multi-project thing. So yeah, that's a tough conversation we need to have.
Really?
I actually think that the 50,000 is a good idea to go. You obviously know I've been pushing for the park board to ask for the 50,000 to try to get as much as possible.
Yeah.
I don't know how everybody else feels. That's definitely where I'm leaning.
What'd you say, Julie? Sorry. What were you asking?
It's $50,000 a bridge to go over.
Oh, no.
No, it's
So
just to get grants.
we're saying we've got 100,000 in the park board we're asking the city to put in $50,000 additionally. And then they're gonna give us $450,000 to go with that money. So we would have 600,000 total funds. So for every dollar we put in, they give us $3 back, which is a pretty massive. We don't see grants like this. They're harder to get, and that's why we waited so long to do this.
And these expenses aren't bids from anybody yet. They're
not
estimates.
allowed to bid yet, because if they're
these are
bid, they're
just
struck.
estimates.
They're estimates from an
We can
architect.
absolutely save money on some of these bids and get a lower bid and save a lot of money, but
Yeah,
this is how they bid it out.
it's basically a book that she's getting numbers from, so it's tough sometimes to get super accurate. Some of these I feel like the bathroom remodel, I'm not sure that it is actually that low, but
Well,
And the bridges, I'm not sure if they're.
or that high. Yeah,
that
yeah,
high.
yeah. So a lot of this will go on.
I want to just ask you a question. When this playground equipment first came in,
Mhm.
and we had a discussion in here as to why we were putting a certain kind of mulch in the playground when it was suggested you get rubber mulch. Do you guys remember that?
We didn't have the funds.
But that wasn't the answer that was given. The answer given was that rubber mulch stains shoes and clothing, and they didn't want that out there.
Actually, what I did say was we would prefer pour in place, which is far beyond our budget at the time. It was $110,000 or $120,000.
Actually, you did say it was because it was staining people's shoes and clothing, is what you had said. And my argument was, all my kids have played on it and they've never got stained. And I didn't understand it. But my point in this anyway is only to bring up the fact that now you're taking that mulch out that you paid money for,
We've always said we were taking the mulch out.
and you're going to
be
replace it
clear.
with rubber mulch.
Yeah, mulch.
Those are our only options.
Wood mulch is a high replacement rate. We should have actually added several layers by now, but we're trying to hurry up and get this done so that the city doesn't have to incur those costs.
That piece specifically was part of the grant I wrote for the Kansas Department of Revenue. So when we got the tax credits, that was to replace, had to put down at the time for cost reasons with the rubber mulch. Annie's talked to them. We should already have had that project done, but knowing we were going to apply for this grant, she asked if we could escrow that money for that rubber mulch so that we would have those funds available. So it's sitting out there. We are being allowed to use it as part of our match, but Department of Revenue is waiting for us to finish that project and then send our final report to them. So at this point, that has to be one of our things.
Yeah, no matter what we choose in the end, that number one playground surfacing has to be included in this grant, no matter what.
I have a question. Couldn't that mulch that was used on the playground be used around the plants?
Yes, that was part of it. That was written in the grant too. I said that we would do that. So I'm really hoping that's true.
Just a bit to tear you out. Yep, we love reusing for sure. Anything else?
I just wanted to clarify too, because I've been getting a lot of people come up to me from the public and asking me why the city council is spending so much money on the park. And I'd like to clarify that the city council is not spending any money really on the park. It's all money that the park board and everybody a part of that has raised. And we're lucky enough to have raised it to get everything down there. So 90% of what's been done, minus the sidewalks, has been what the park board has done. 10%, I would say, is about what the city has donated to landscaping around a few items down there. But as far as what the city tills have paid out, it's very little. What has been done by the park board.
It's an incredible group of people. I mean, I'm talking from years of experience, but it is a very hardworking group of people that work well together and have gotten a lot of things done. So I'm pretty proud to be a part of that group.
Now, you said you wrote a grant for the department, Kansas Department. You wrote the grant.
Yeah.
So if you're a grant writer, can I take it?
I would hate to put that title on myself. I have written many grants. I have received some and not received some. It's a lot of work to write grants, and it takes a lot of.
We don't always share
detail.
that we're applying sometimes,
Yeah,
because we'll do the quick and easy ones. We do apply for those. People suggest them to us. We do put stuff in. Jennifer and I will write grants up pretty quickly for those little
Kind of
$10,000 grants. We don't get them. They're just really competitive.
I mean,
Um,
it's, you know,
there's
the
a lot of
whole
people.
project has grown because of the work that everybody's done. When we started out and had no money, you can't get a grant with no money. Like, you have to have those magic funds. So it is honestly probably the bingo started us out, got a little money, and it just snowballs from there. And then once you've written several grants, you can use all the basic information in each one. It gets easier and easier, but you do have to have the funds in place.
We can't use the sales tax money on the building across the street. The sales tax money does go towards the park.
Right.
So how are we gonna replace the housing authority's money if you take some of that? Where's
I
that gonna come from?
don't have an answer for that because I didn't know they were going to come in and ask for it, and I thought we would use it for that bathroom at the lake.
The day we had received that money, we talked about using it over there.
That's why I'm not actually asking for that funds. I was, but, and I'm not gonna
There-
lie, I was gonna ask for some of it, but not that much.
The park board's asking for the $50,000
To come from where?
You decide.
from
But
that account. There will be $64,000 left over for the housing authority if you guys decide, depending on what Stephanie comes and discusses and we all discuss.
You're selling that like it's a positive when you know 114 is way short of what's needed.
How much,
You knew that.
how much money is currently in the parks, curbs and sidewalks, the 1% account?
What's it get about? I can't remember, 15 or 30,000 every quarter. How much was
oh
it
no,
So,
it's like 30 to 45,000 per
per
year.
year?
Yeah.
Yeah,
44,
the
I think
ending
it
cash
says.
balance as of 7/31 is $45,466.60. However, we only have the budget authority remaining for the rest of the year of $17,700.
And that's because we have commitments made already for the money, is that the
That's
reason?
because we have already used all of the budget authority except for $17,000, yeah.
And hasn't all of that tax money gone either into the park or to a sidewalk that leads to the park?
No, it is fixed the curbs on Main Street. It is fixed going into Russian there. It's just to the sidewalk across the street and that whole curb and guttering.
Oh,
It's
that's
done
right. The
some
one we
water-
all agreed it wouldn't pay for, right?
It's done some water drains and it's done some sidewalk to the kiosk that the byway has. A few years ago, you asked me to talk with the Debater, the concrete guy, about a 5-year plan, which I came and talked about at the meeting. Next year, the plan for that 1% sales tax was a sidewalk to the nursing home. After that, it was starting through to the neighborhoods in Main Street. So if that's gonna be something different and we're gonna spend it on something else, then I need to go back to him and tell him, wait, what we talked about is not.
Well,
Because you-
as I started out, we can't spend it on the building over there.
The 1% sales tax.
Right.
Correct.
Mhm.
It's sidewalks, curbs, and park. It's been used for sidewalks in the park up to this point.
So I can't get behind this unless you tell me how you're gonna replace the money. And
You're
it
wanting
in-
me to replace Eskridge Housing Authority money.
Well,
If
sure,
that's what they're
I guess
claiming
what I'm
it
asking,
is.
I guess what I should be asking Tim is what do you think you can do with that building over there with that entire 114,000? Because you're not gonna be able to get anything done with that over there.
Could they not find a grant for that?
I
That's my
mean,
hope.
probably not. It's not even a historic registered building yet. We've talked about meeting with SHPO or whatever to be a historic district, which would open up more grant money for us available, but we have not done that. It has not been a very attractive topic when it's been brought up, so we're still sitting in limbo there. But the 114,000 altogether is going to do nothing for that building. We have also been sitting on that building in the shape that it is for well over a decade, and we don't have the money to fix it. And I think we should be really focusing on finding somebody that has the financial means to be fixing it. The last time I checked, it's still on the table for $1. So if somebody can come and wants that building and can prove that they financially are viable to get it, I mean, I thought the agreement was we gave them 3 years to get that done. I mean, this is all stuff that we've talked about, but I really think we should be trying, all of us in our spare time should be talking to people, trying to find somebody to get that building, because we have no means to do it, even with the 114,000, because that building has caused so much damage to the neighboring buildings. That alone, you don't even have enough for. And there again, the park board is created by a bunch of people that are just citizens that have dedicated all this time, and the board's just trying to finish the project and get it done. It's required a lot of time and effort from everybody on it, and all it's done is better the town.
You don't have to sell me on that. I think park board has done an amazing job.
I
Can I make a comment?
yeah, I
wanted
just
to add to what someone said, is that, you know, the city wanted a park board to be together, and people applied, you guys picked the board, I don't know how it all went down, but the park board was created 2015, said, have a master plan. We want to see what you can bring to the table. We know it's gonna be a long road, and we want you guys to provide some opportunities for our town. And tonight, that's exactly what we've presented, is the road that we've been on, and the opportunity that's on the table. And it's the biggest one. It's taken almost 2 years. And I know you guys have a hard choice here. I have no doubt. And there's probably gonna be a lot of discussion about it, but I just wanted to make sure that we remember why the Park Foundation is here. It's because the city needed us. The city needed people to come in and dedicate time and energy to provide opportunities, and we've done that.
I think the issue is, where's the money gonna come from?
I understand.
I think that's the issue. We've discussed in months past this year, doing something on the ballot for the November election to raise money for a police officer. We haven't had that discussion in several months now. I don't even know where we stand on that, if we're gonna have anything on the ballot or not.
too late for that.
No, it's not. We have until September 5th to get it on the ballot.
No.
Yes.
I
I've talked.
said,
I'm sorry.
oh.
Okay, I thought you said no, excuse me.
I said, oh, sorry.
Don't get too excited. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. But we have until September 5th.
This does remind me of the police conversation. I mean, yes, I think this is a great idea. Sure, I'd like to have the best damn park in the state. I don't know where the money's gonna come from. And you changing your tune so drastically from where you were before, I don't know, I guess I've come to expect that from you now, but.
Please
Boy, howdy,
clarify.
that's not the tune you were singing.
Please
a year ago.
clarify.
Because you were all hell bent for leather to fix that building across the street. Now that.
Of course, I have a actual personal interest in that. I can't sit here and push that and push something for myself in this council. Like, that would be morally wrong. I'm not going to sit here and do that. Each and every one of you had the opportunity to try to do that so that I didn't have to, and you failed me. So, I mean, that's a fact. You have shut me up on that building, not you specifically, but multiple people at this table, not some that aren't even saying that.
You might just back out of the hole.
Conflict of interest, a ownership stake in it. So I can't be bringing it up and try to be finding. You know how that would work?
I've been wanting to say this.
And we don't have the money.
They're not mutually exclusive. Doing the park does not negate the rest of the projects that the Eskridge Housing Authority is trying to do. And I honestly am not coming in to steal their money. That's not what my intention was. I am asking for additional funds so that we can get the big fun stuff that people really want, which are those bridges, which are a safety thing for me now. But also the tennis court and stuff like that, the bathroom remodel. People don't even use that bathroom because they're so grossed out by it, and it's creepy.
We can't really hold events where people can hear things.
I've had 5-6 requests for electricity for this year's fall festival already. I have to tell every one of them no. Genuinely no. 0 electricity is available. It's frustrating. And I think that we can use that to raise funds for things like the Eskridge Housing Authority. I don't want to work on the park forever, and I don't want people to start becoming negative towards it, because this is not what we started this out for. Like, we're not here to just spend all the money on the park and not treat the rest of the town equally. But personally, I can only dedicate so much time to so many projects, and like city council's a project, the park's a project. I have a job and children as well that I would like to also keep up with. But I would love to pivot after this project's done into something like that building across the street. I just haven't had the space for it. So at this point, I'm asking for this project to finish so that we can roll into something else.
Can you explain a little bit about how the guarantee on the grant writer we hired, like,
Yeah.
he's already told us we're 90% sure to get the grant this year just because of how well written our architect plan is. That's next
What
week,
we've had
so
ready.
maybe that's not exactly what
Sorry,
he said.
Carrie's dying behind you. She's got her arm up.
Oh, no, I can meet you.
So, and then if we don't get it this year, it rolls right over to next year.
Yeah.
So
With-
if we
with no
don't get
additional
it, you're not out any money, right? Like, I mean, this, all we're asking is for that money to be.
We're not
set
out
aside,
any money, and you guys are out $9,000 for your grant writer.
which we are more than excited to have paid to get this done. If we, again, like everything Annie just said, if we can manage to get this done.
Okay, I understand your excitement, and I'm excited for you guys. I just don't understand why you're paying money for something that you can get done for free.
No, critical. This was critical. This grant writer with those guarantees and those success rates was
Okay,
exactly
and-
what we need.
And if our grant writer couldn't have done it this year, they would have wrote it for you again for free next year. So the guarantee is the same.
Your grant writer denied a CDBG grant before,
Was she denied one?
or didn't get one, and has only written a handful previously in the meantime?
You gotta start somewhere. You've said yourself that you don't get all the grants you apply for.
And I would never have attempted to write this type of federal grant. Never. And I have a lot of experience. That part's already done.
I know it is. I'm just talking about money that you're spending that you don't really necessarily have to spend.
We spent $4,000 on that master plan that was hanging out there. And a lot of people would scoff at that and say we spent way too much money, but we used that to raise the money that we got today.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing a point like that. I'm arguing points like the mulch, for example. And you've explained tonight what your plan was in the long run was to get this in there temporarily to get your playground equipment in, and then replace it down the road when you could fund it. Your Eskridge City Park signs.
Our mulch was donated.
The Eskridge City Park sign is
throw that out
beautiful.
there.
It's absolutely beautiful. Everybody in town loves it. I haven't heard one negative thing about it. But I know you spent around $15,000 for that.
We spent $5,000 for that, actually.
We had a grant.
It was grant funded.
And you got some of that money from somewhere else, didn't you? Besides the grant?
No.
Did the city not donate $5,000 towards that?
No.
That sign cost $5,000.
From our funds.
It cost
Yeah.
$15,000.
$15,000.
Okay, there we go.
15,000 total, but you never got any bids on anybody else to do it.
It's interesting that you say that because we had already applied for the grant before we were even approached. We had the bid on hand, and that's why we applied.
We feel like we've been very fiscally responsible. You sound like maybe you don't.
I think that's
so,
some
but
misinformation.
No, I
that
don't
we
think
have
so, because I'm not seeing bids come in for various things. And actually, the park board is responsible to come to the city council and give us their proposal for things to do like you're doing tonight. And the city council has to decide whether or not to go for it. And that's all I'm doing. I want assurances that you're not going to spend the money frivolously, that you're going to get the bids out there. You're going to get the best deal you can. You're going to get with the most bang for your buck. That's really all I'm trying to do.
These grants do require us to get multiple bids every time we bid anything out. This is the only thing that doesn't require that because it's written for the application itself. And we used the person that we'd already had experience with before, who already knew the plan very well. She's extremely detail oriented. She had about 80,000 questions while we were filling this out.
specific to this grant tonight. I'm sorry. No. This is your opportunity to get $3 for every dollar you have. And it's not our park. It's the city of Eskridge Park. It's the city council of Eskridge. It has nothing to do with us. It's the only way I know of right now for you to get that kind of return on your money. And that's why we're asking.
Carrie, you have a comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Annie, I missed the amount you guys said.
So, we have 78,000 on hand. We're gonna fundraise again, so we're hoping to hit 100,000 ourselves.
Okay.
And we're asking the city for 50,000 total added in.
So here's my thought. I would have to talk to the rest of the authority board, but I don't see why this can't be a joint venture somehow. You know what I mean? I mean, part of the housing authority is to make the town better for people to live in. And it doesn't have to be like you said, taking their money or whatever. It could be some kind of a joint venture. I mean, I don't know all the details and finances of it, but either we supply it or you borrow it without any, you know what I mean? There's lots of different options there. There's no reason why we can't do.
I mean, is this money not sitting in account gaining interest already?
Not
The interest at the
necessarily.
bank right now is 4.8%. You're getting $5,000 a month interest that should be going into that fund.
I wish that were the case. Not
I was gonna say,
Is it in the bank at Eskridge?
Yes,
Because that's what we get at the district office in our accounts that gain interest.
honestly, I've never seen interest being shown on any of our financial reports that's coming in.
Because if that could cover that, they could cover.
Some of our
Is the
funds.
city government allowed to gain interest?
Well, yeah, they can gain interest in
CDs.
certain accounts.
Some of the
that
funds are
hold,
in CDs
Yeah.
currently, yes.
but not the operating funds. I think are in probably a money market account.
Money market, I think, should still be getting.
Yeah, they should get interest.
Yeah, our money market and savings both get that percent.
Might be something we could look into.
But I mean, take
Sure, really, yeah. The city could use every dime they could get, so yeah, that's something, sure.
So are we not allowed to use more than that 17,000?
For this year without amending your budget authority.
You'd have to get it from another fund, but then most your other funds have to transfer. They're going to go to that. Enterprise funds, I guess, well, sure. You have a transfer set up already. Last year, did you guys set up a transfer?
Are you talking about from the city sales tax
Well,
fund?
so no. from
No,
water.
there are definitely transfers from the water and from the gas into general fund, but
Those already expended or?
mhm,
or is everything
pretty
up?
much. I think there's one transfer left, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, that's the question is 17 is authorized. So you'd have to get the 33 someplace else. I mean,
And
the
then
general fund is not
stop
obligated.
the concrete project next year. We won't have anything happen.
Well, there's
What-
still funds. That's not going somewhere else, right? The rest of the 44 that's actually in it.
No, it's not going anywhere else.
It's not being paid out. It's just
You would
our
just need
budget.
to amend your budget authority, if you were spending over the 17,700 for the year.
What's the deadline again for the commitment?
No, I think the last day of October is when it's due. We really need to know by the next meeting if you're going to approve this scope, and then the funding. So it could be tabled if you guys want to think about it.
Well, if you are going to do an amended budget, you have to notice it up, a publication and the whole 9 yards, just like you did this one. So got to allow time for that too. So make that into your plan as far as.
Do you actually need to physically have the money by the next meeting? Is that what you were saying? Okay.
No,
You just need the
We won't
commitment.
need, we won't need any money until we're actually approved and rolling. And honestly, not till we're actually paying someone.
Okay, so that's you can amend later.
Do you need a snack?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go. I should have been able to tell by the way I was talking a few minutes ago. What?
You bring your sugar pills?
Yes, I did. Thank you for reminding
I
me.
thought you were gonna do surgery on somebody.
See, it's good that you're here.
I forgot about
avoid
that.
Remind him.
Yeah, shouldn't have said anything. I'd be out of here by now.
Shoot, he was trying to use it to get out on us.
Actually not. I hate that when it gets down like that. Problem is, it's gonna take 20 minutes for it to take effect, but. So the deadline, you need to know by the next meeting, September 9th.
Mhm.
Does everybody need more time to think about it?
Well, 50,000 is a lot to come up with at one time. That's what I think about it.
Doesn't have to be 50 either.
No, you can approve a different amount.
You could do 17 right now tonight.
Except that 17 future from happening as far as the sidewalk and next year and kicks it down the road for another time when that's set there for that and everybody in town loves seeing the concrete work being done. And we were moving up to Main Street where everybody wanted. I don't know. The $114,000 has been sitting there for well over a year. It's not enough money to do anything that any of us has talked about here. What it is enough money to do for is 50,000 of it to go to the park board to try to get this 3-to-1 match.
I think earlier tonight we talked about Stephanie Hemthorne coming in and telling us about possible grants for that building across the street. So you can't say that the money's not going. We can't do anything with it because we don't know.
Expenditures from that.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask Kelly this question. How much revenue do we get in a year's time with the 1% sales tax over the course of a year?
I think it's gone up. It used to be around 33,000, but it's gone up from there.
Yeah,
Once.
I don't have that information. in
Okay.
front of me.
44 was the highest I saw.
Can you get that for us by the
Yeah.
September 9th meeting?
Yep.
Okay. That's going to tell us, and you can come up with the numbers that debaters going to need for their sidewalk project for next year. And we'll see where we stand with the money at that point.
We're not going to know that because that's going to involve Mike and he has to find utilities. There has to be a bridge assessed to be able to put in, and there has to be a bunch of different things that's going to be going on in the next few months and beginning of next year.
So
before that can be
what
done.
bridge project are you referring to that debaters going to line up for?
We're going to have to figure out a bridge because the sidewalk to the nursing home crosses the creek. So you can't have them walking through the creek, and you're going to have a bridge that used to be there, replaced back there so that they can safely get back and forth.
Okay, that's what I've asked. What was your mind? So on your mind with that project? Now I know where you're talking about.
I'm trying to sidewalk in the nursing home. Yay. About time.
All right.
So we need to table this to the next meeting. While we figure out where funds are coming from. Yeah, I'll move the table to the next meeting.
Okay. Motion by Jason to table the park board information to September 9th, seconded by Tim. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Okay. Motion passes 4-1.
I do agree with you though. Needs to happen.
Okay, next up is continuing council business, employee pay raise, reference Aspen, Egbert.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Jennifer, thanks for coming in and talking to us.
You guys are awesome.
Anytime.
Name, Mary, and Tasha.
And everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Hello, Aspen.
Yeah, so don't rush.
Well, I just want to let you know.
For sure.
Just FYI, Aspen's
On that thing.
evaluation score was 97.
Did your chicken coop pass?
Yeah, had to
Yeah,
He wasn't hiding any chickens anywhere.
I was gonna say they're not as talkative as they used to be.
They got eaten by the tiger.
And we lost half of them, that's
Didn't
why.
figure out the pay
I was
rate.
looking for them the other day. Did you? I didn't think you had any left.
What
We
is
had
that?
10, now we got 5. Weasel got in there now. Several months ago. We've shorted up now since then.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
I went back from the time that she was hired and looked, because you guys wanted to know how she got paid, right? So in 2022, in the very beginning of 2023, and it looks like while Stephanie was still here, she was being paid $15 for the first hour of each day that she worked, $10 for each remaining time after that. Now, Aspen was writing on her time card $15 for the first hour of the week and 10 for the remaining, but that's not what Stephanie did. Stephanie did it correctly.
Yeah, she fixed my mistakes on my time card. She did not enter them as I wrote them. She entered them correctly.
As they were.
So once it looks like once Stephanie left, because it started in March of 2023, Aspen was getting paid a straight $15 an hour, not the tiered. So I went back through and looked at every single time card, and what was happening in 2022 and the beginning of 23 is if she worked 5 minutes to come and feed for the kennel or 7 minutes, she was getting paid 15 minutes. That was what she got in the beginning. So she was making at least, 15 minutes. That stopped in March of 2023. So I went back, and if she clocked in for 3 minutes, she wasn't necessarily getting, that wasn't benefiting her. She wasn't getting paid a minimum amount for actually coming in. So once I went through them all, it looks like she would have been overpaid a total of $10 when you take into consideration where she was underpaid and where you take into consideration where she was overpaid. $10 overpayment.
Talk about needing a raise. Kelly went through,
That is
$400
wild with how messed up your page scale is.
But we're on track.
On
and
top
that's
of
great.
that, we discovered that I was tracking minutes for days until they would add up to an hour before I would put it on a time card. So I might have put an hour on, say, October 3rd, but it might have been work that I did for like the last 2 weeks of September because it was like a phone call here, a phone call there, or do you know what I mean? So I really had it screwed up. Luckily, Steph was trying to help me, but then when it went back the other way, I don't know. So
You always take the bottom line.
Give it to Annie.
I just want to make sure that we don't really owe you a bunch of money, and if we did, we need to get it taken care of. But I'm not going to concern myself with overpaying if that's what it amounted to. It's only $10.
Yeah.
Just roll ahead.
And right now, it's clearly, and it's going $10 the first hour.
$15 for
First.
and this is
10.
by the day, right? Not per week. Okay, so like if I come in one day and work for 2 hours, that's $25. If I come in the next day and work 2 hours, it would be.
I thought it was if she got called out, it was the 15. Otherwise, the office hours were 10.
I don't think it was ever that.
I think it's way too complicated.
It's already
Chill it out.
I thought it was $15 for the first hour, regardless of whether it was a call out or she came in to do work.
Oh man.
That's what we found in the minutes. from
Is what
the
I'm
meeting
saying is
when I
what we thought it was.
That's how
what,
it was stated.
Yeah.
So as far as like the rounding up or whatever goes, if I am getting phone messages, phone calls, emails that I'm tracking outside of the time clock, how much time should I be giving myself for those?
I think that's another thing we need to clarify for sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm in favor of at least rounding to the 15-minute mark. That's what my part-time job does. If I come in, you round to the 15, like in your favor. So if I'm there at like 12:20, I back it up to 12:15. I get that full 15-minute window. That's a suggestion. Nobody.
So like if let's say for example, the other day on the 20th at 8:04, I got a text message at 8:06. No, 8, not like I got like several messages all in a row for like an hour of my morning. It was like every few minutes there was a message. Somebody was coming to talk to me.
That's so complicated.
And that's what I'm saying. And then just today, I jokingly, Jackie Martin, whom I work with at the school, approached me to talk to it about a dog. And I was like, hold on, Jackie, let me start a time clock. Okay, go. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
I couldn't be like, no, don't talk to me about this right now. I mean,
It's
I guess
also
I could have.
doubly complicated because we did make a motion last year to pay you an hour for every time you come in to feed the pets too. So I don't know
haven't
anymore.
had to do since we did that. So
What to do. I think we should definitely simplify whatever's happening.
I 100% agree. I would love for things to be simplified.
I'm kind of liking what Annie's saying. If you come in for 5 minutes and feed a dog and clean its pen, and if you come in, you clean a pen, feed a dog, takes you 10 minutes, you bump it to 15.
Get a phone call or a text message or something you have to look into. 15 minutes for that as well.
That's not what we agreed to.
Or actual time work.
No,
That's
that's
not
what I'm
what we
saying.
agreed
Is
to,
it
and
needs to
really, so
change something.
she has to dedicate morning and night for $5.
Yeah, and that's what I don't know how to solve
Who's
this.
going to be like, I want a part-time job and make money, and I have to come in every morning and every night, and you're only giving me $5.
I mean,
Come on.
It's honest. That's exactly what it would add up to. You know what I mean? And I don't know what the answer is to this.
I think we already hashed that out. That it's a minimum of 1 hour. But what I would like to throw in is if you got to come in for 5 minutes, I say you work for 55 more minutes, 50, 45, whatever. Don't work for 5 minutes and then call it an hour if you have the things that can be done within that hour's time frame. I mean, I would like to think that you're being sensible with that time.
Well, yeah.
I'm not going to say, by God, you came in at 8 o'clock, you got to stick around till 9 o'clock either.
Well, and because sometimes it would be like I come feed and water a dog and clean up the pen before I go to my other job. You know what I mean? And then I'll come back after my other job and do the dog again. Or so I don't know. I do not have the answers.
I don't have a problem with what Tim's suggesting either, as long as if you've got 3 days of dog business doing here because we got a dog in the kennel, I'd like to see the owner of that dog paying some kind of money to the
Well,
city.
that's what we do. Like she's forwarding that bill. When we're caring for a dog, it's supposed to go.
Okay.
Obviously,
And
there are
so
cases
let me
we
rephrase
can't.
my
Yeah.
statement. I agree with what you're saying that y'all are doing that. I'm just saying I'd like to see it when we have our meetings that we had a dog in the kennel for 4 days and the owner got it, and this is the revenue we got from the owner.
Yes, I want to see the breakdown.
I do want to just spit out there is situations where we're not going to get a dog claimed, so nobody's going to pick up that money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can't always get
But
get
as
it
long
back.
as we are,
But we are
more than we're
trying.
not.
Yeah. Or when she readopted, she obviously forwarded that feed on.
And I understand wholeheartedly nobody wants to send a dog to its death by sending it to a vet in Auburn or elsewhere, but we cannot afford to keep a dog here for days on end.
No.
It's unfortunate.
I'd also like to add.
So what's a solution to that?
Go ahead.
Just asking.
Yeah, Tim wasn't talking, but go ahead.
You said if somebody stopped that I could start talking. That's what I did. It was quicker than what Tim was. But go ahead, Tim. I hope it's a good idea of how you could fix the Buffalo Inn or the Dixon or the sodas and stuff. Speak up, I can't hear you. What's
You
your
don't
name?
need all that passive aggressive stuff, guys. You do that all the time. The meeting's already long. Let's be productive.
Thanks for your comment.
You're welcome. I seriously mean it. All of you guys do that.
Okay,
I've
Tim,
even
go
been
ahead.
guilty of
Go
it, I
ahead.
know, but it's not solving it.
Prior to us hiring Aspen, the administrative stuff was done by the clerk's position. I'd like to see that return. I don't know why we're paying an additional person to do that job.
I don't think Aspen's collecting the money. If people have to
Is
pay
she
a
not
fine,
on
are they paying you? Or are they paying Aspen and she's bringing it to you? How's that
Well,
working?
both. The last dog that just got picked up, what, a week or so ago, they paid me directly. Aspen
Yeah.
wasn't here, but she
I'm
collects
talking
the
about like
fees.
for all the
And
dog tags and the
Kelly does pretty much all of that.
Yeah.
and I was misinformed.
Well, because she's the only one here during office
Yeah.
hours. I only, like, if somebody gets a hold of me and is like, I can't make it when Kelly's there, can I meet you at 6 to do my dog tags? Then yes.
Last time we talked about this, that's not the way it was presented, so I was misunderstood.
she is putting the information in the computer. That's the new system that she's done, and I have not. That's the only thing I can think of that's different.
And that's like my own personal thing so that I can keep track of who belongs to who and where they live and addresses to send letters to, stuff like that. Is that what you mean? Like you expect Kelly to handle all of the like letters and fines and you just want me to
Well,
pick up
I
the
don't know
dogs
if
and
really
feed
done
and
in the
water?
past.
Never, just forget it.
All right.
If I'm the only one that felt that way, then that's not an issue.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks. How much were you talking about? I'm serious.
Well, assuming that you actually make $15 an hour, 4% raise is 60 cents, 5% is 75 cents, 6% is 90 cents, and 7 is 105.
So
That was just my rough.
with the way her pay
quick
goes,
note.
what's her average pay per hour work out to be actually? Do we know that?
Oh. How many hours do you say that you put in? What's your max?
20 a week, and I've never hit that.
Okay.
Never.
And so the pay rate is $15 for up to the first hour, and then $10 after. So typically, her days, it's seldom that she has 2 hours in a row in one day. It's
Right.
more,
Sporadic.
Right? Yeah. So.
Fun. Okay.
Right.
Are we still doing a scaled pay fee? 15 and 10. Do we need to figure that out?
Seems to me it's 15 first hour, $10 second hour, determined on a day-to-day basis. At what the raise rate added onto that. Right? Every day is a new day.
Okay. I don't know.
I think I heard 4 and 8%. I'll just go down the middle. I move we give her 6% raise.
So that'd be 1590.
1575.
Yeah.
1590.
Sorry, did you say
6% with 1590? Yeah.
Yeah. You got me messed up. Now.
Yeah.
More than I've gotten in the last 6 years.
Times. Can't math.
1590 and 1060.
10 is it 1060? 1050?
1060.
Oh, I said.
Now I'm going to ask you that question.
Give her one of your sugar pills.
It's dropping.
Don't worry, I'm
I got
over here.
chocolate chip
I
cookie
help
waiting
teach
for
your
me,
kids
man.
math
It's hot.
at school, and I'm over here like,
You can't tell by my face thermometer.
We got it.
All right, I move to give Aspen a 6% raise to both the wages that she makes.
Didn't I just say that?
Did you?
Did you?
I did.
I'm so sorry. I heard
Yeah,
Todd.
then it was the second. So you
I'll
were second.
second you.
Yeah, that's the second time I heard it.
All right.
Okay, so she seconds it.
So fine, I guess.
Okay, motion by Tim to give a pay raise to Aspen at 6%, to 1590, first hour, 1060, second hour, seconded by Annie. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Those opposed? Got an opposed, Brett, or? Brett, are you opposing?
No.
He just was a little slow.
He was slow. He was slow.
Oh, right.
Straight up.
And that's why I'm verifying, because I thought he meant the other way.
Jeez, rude.
Did you get kicked?
Poke him.
No, I poked him.
Next up is Colligan Technology.
Thank you all.
You're welcome, honey.
Sorry for that.
There are 3 different Culligan Technology estimates in here. Well, the first one is not an estimate, it's a proposal for the monthly service, which we discussed last week and you guys tabled to review further. And that is $1,807.50.
Kind of water?
No, definitely not.
No,
This is-
that's our internet.
We dropped
This is
that
our monthly
right.
bill for our tech,
This is our IT guy, not.
Honey, if,
For the
if
IT
that's
guy.
what
Oh,
I want in on
which
it.
is just basically the raise from what we were already paying, which was 14.
Just under 14.
Don't spread that
I think it was $13.95 if I remember correctly.
So we were already paying about $1,400 a month
Correct.
for our IT bill.
I think I wrote down 4,800 as the year increase total for this new contract. But
Right.
don't quote that. I wrote it down a long time ago. Obviously, my math
And this
skills
is
are
guaranteed for,
awesome.
what do you say, 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
Does he replace our computers if they go down?
We would have to purchase them. We don't have the plan where it's
Okay.
replacing it.
He'd set it up, right?
Oh, he'd set everything up, but we would have to
And he
actually,
And he
and he
maintains
would,
everything.
and he
yeah.
would
Yeah.
probably, if we asked him, help us try to get a decent price on replacements, but
Does he back up our hard drives?
Yes.
There it is.
100% yes. In multiple areas.
mhm.
In the cloud.
In the cloud?
Including.
the cloud.
Oh.
So we have physical and cloud backups.
So this is paid for by broken down of all funds, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, I think he does a good job security wise, and we do handle people's financial information. So that is one thing to keep in consideration.
Did you see 1,400 a month?
Now,
It's now.
Well, previously, it's already gone up.
We are a business. Yeah. It's not a personal rate for sure, but it's discounted. But think about how many times your credit card's been stolen in the past 10 years. Because mine has gone several times, and I'm pretty cautious. Not credit cards, debit cards, and whatnot.
Right on. I wondered. He was off.
Oh no. Todd knew he didn't need
see a
to
red
say.
light on it.
You good?
let's hope it's working properly.
Okay.
Ouch.
Otherwise, we're gonna be going back to, just
I think it shut off when everybody was talking at the same time.
Yeah, these notes might be loud.
probably on overload.
What are we gonna do?
Tim, you had estimate on camera replacement?
That's
Well,
not,
first
that's
of
not,
all,
that's not
step
Joe.
ahead.
That's our problem.
Let's stay with
That's the next step.
That's next.
Okay, I'm okay with it, I guess. I know it hurts, but I don't think,
I don't
unless
know
you
what else
wanna
to do.
come up with somebody
I don't
else,
know if
yeah,
there's-
that's
And we
the-
can't go without.
right.
Right, so I'm good
Unless
with
we
it.
want to bid another contractor to do it, but I don't think we want to do that.
We may look for a different one in the future.
Yeah, but we're gonna be looking at huge
Have you got them
expenses.
quoted too? Do you have, do you
Yeah,
think
involved
that
with
you're?
that.
If
If we change
I
contract.
Jump
If
at
we
that
are.
price.
If we,
Oh, that says affordable. not.
Yeah, I'd jump at it.
He also wants to go home.
I would move that we approve the updated Culligan contract.
I second it.
I think it better.
You did. It was squeaky and fun.
And
That
that
sounds like
amount
money
is,
to hype on.
and that's the, in
And
the amount of,
in the amount of $1,807.
And 50 cents.
okay, motion by Jason to approve the updated Culligan contract of $1,807.50, seconded by Michelle. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Okay, that motion passes.
Okay, now about the camera that doesn't work.
I 100% do not support continuing to use that because I don't think it's just the sound that's an issue. I think the camera's dying.
I think it already died.
I don't care about the video,
But we do need
We are
something that has
posting it.
reliable audio.
Did you have another one that you found?
I quickly Googled webcam or meeting camera, something like that. And I came up with a camera very similar to what's
Yeah, I actually. I'd have to go look them up, but I don't know for sure.
I think that's 0.
Okay, guys. We had 2 discussions going again. Please hold it to 1.
What, $210 replacing the webcam hardware. This is a plug and play. I see only 2. I'm like, oh, is it the owls? The third one? What is this?
You
I
said you
did
found
not put the owl information back in there.
as well.
Yeah, I was writing it. Do you remember how much it was, Terry? I texted it to you. What's your name, Terry? I forget it.
Now, this is the one that he was talking about where we would basically have to mix audio and video.
It was $136. See, it's a camera with a little ball mic.
Remote microphone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a Bluetooth mic. So we can put the camera up there and the mic down here. And that's $136. Now, I don't know a whole lot about this. It's 1080p. My point was when I presented this, I don't know if you can go and look at it. The only reason I presented that is to show that there are options way cheaper than the Owl. But now that I see these other ones here, hell, we're already going with this guy with other stuff. And obviously we're gonna need somebody to hook it up.
I don't have a problem sticking with a regular webcam. And if you have a suggestion that
Speakerphone.
I mean,
So what's the offer
This is
here?
Logitech
One is
right
for a
here.
camera and one's for a speakerphone? Is that what these are?
no. So option 1, $230 is to add a speakerphone to the current webcam. So continue the webcam, add better sound. Option 2 is to replace the entire thing
with
just as it
essentially
is.
a new webcam.
Same thing.
Then I would like to ask him why something like that right there isn't possible.
He actually
Pardon?
does.
Bluetooth microphone. It says it hooked up. It's wired. But it's a package deal, camera and mic. I guess it's the mic Bluetooths to the camera, which is wired to the laptop, which could be.
He actually has a Logitech on here, so it's probably just a webcam than the one you've got because this is the same brand, as far as I can tell.
Well, I don't know if this camera comes with a remote mic. I mean, I know that's what we asked him for, so maybe it does.
Logitech MX Brio Ultra HD 4K streaming webcam. What is?
Fade to black.
Pro Stream webcam. C922X Pro Stream.
I say we send him that image, Terry, and see what's up with this. Can we get something like this?
This
Maybe
is
he's having
exactly
his
what we want.
installation fee to it. I don't know.
Well, sure. Yeah.
I don't know.
Somebody's got to do it.
It's business.
I don't know what you're saying.
I'm mumbling to myself. Sorry.
I can't tell which way you're going. Are you in favor of this idea? Are you against this
Um,
idea?
I don't really care. I think they're all pretty affordable these days. So I do think the sound would be better if we could get a
mic.
additional mic. But I don't want to keep that one because it is an issue. There is an issue with this, whether it's sound or not. Something's wrong with the video as well.
Well, I'd like to find out if it requires something
Connection.
just like that. I don't care if it's that brand or but that's what we need is a camera up there and a mic down here.
A remote mic.
Yes.
Because he talked about the wire.
You mean Bluetooth?
I honestly didn't set it to go off.
Or even wired, either way would work. Because we could have a hanging mic.
Well,
Just right going anywhere.
do you
All right.
have a contract with that guy that he is exclusive in doing all of that? Because you can pick that up at Amazon and do it in 3 minutes. Like I could do it for you.
Well,
It's just Bluetooth. It's easy.
I think it's a little different running a laptop and whatnot
Shouldn't be.
because that cable goes through the. I think the cable's an issue. Maybe not. Maybe no.
I doubt it.
All right.
So it's not actually hard.
Do you want to get more information? Let's make some decisions. It's almost 10.
We don't need it tonight. Let's table it.
We stopped the email.
Make a motion.
That's definitely.
I moved to table the
I did get information for this, but I can wait if you guys want to
For
for
what?
the fringe benefit. I printed.
Oh, no,
out.
no, we're not there
Wait.
yet.
we're still
I'm
trying to
so
deal
sorry.
with this.
Sorry.
I moved
I
to
thought we
table
were
the camera
rolling.
talk.
I'll second that.
No, we've put skids on it.
Who seconded it?
Jason.
Okay, motion by Tim to table Cullen Technology
Camera talk.
camera
Skip it
discussion
over.
to September 9th, seconded by Jason. Further comments? Those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, next up is on the agenda, city credit card. I notified Mike to be here at 10:45 this morning. And he replied around, I will tell you, almost at 12:40, he replied, "What's on the agenda exactly that needs addressed with me?" I said, use of city credit card, employee benefits, and Lakewood Muncie storm damage / cleanup. That was at 12:40. Didn't hear from him again until 4:05 in the afternoon. And his response was, well, I just spent the last 4 hours out working on a lift station panel, and I'm literally cooked at the moment, so not sure I'm leaving the house again today. I understand that. However, I'm going to say this about this whole situation. I'm going to ask Mike one more time to be here September 9th. If he's not here, I'm suspending him for 30 days without pay until this is. So you guys want to talk to Mike, get him in here so we can get this resolved on September 9th? Go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to can him. Then I would
Get suspended.
Right.
In a canon, you're gonna suspend it, right? I just want to make sure what you said.
I said I was going to suspend him, but
Okay.
I might change my mind and fire him by then. Who knows?
I believe it says mayor and council. on
Yeah.
firing.
You
And
think
then
Say
you-
what?
That you want to.
I don't think you get, it's your call. You
I
can
think it
suspend.
is my call on the council, and he has the right to come to the council and plead his case if that's what the handbook says. I
The
could be
handbook
wrong.
says the mayor and the city council.
Think what the code says too.
Okay, well, get me straight. But
Well,
this
the one
is,
thing you can do, I know you can suspend somebody. So
okay,
if you said suspend first and
and then
happy, then
okay.
you said something
I'm
else.
happy with suspending him. And this is going on, actually since
Another 2 weeks.
November. This has gone on since at least November of 2023 when I first brought it to the council. And I brought it up several times since then. And there's been one excuse after another why he can't confront the council with what, and let's get it resolved.
To adjourn.
We're not
Oh,
done. We
there's
got ways to go yet. Who wants to make this motion to table this to September 9th?
The credit card thing?
Yeah.
I suppose I'll make the motion to table this till September 9th.
Do we have a second?
Not from me.
Okay, so the motion fails for lack of a second, so we're gonna continue talking about city credit card.
Oh, good gravy. I guess I second it. I'm not gonna talk about it anymore.
You going by the technical rules or? Since the second was reject, I mean, the first motion.
Make a motion again.
Okay.
So I moved to table it to September 9th.
I will second that.
Any further discussion?
Interesting that nobody talks.
Those in favor? Those opposed? Those abstaining?
I'm abstaining because I missed all the conversation prior to.
There wasn't much of any.
That was quick. It wasn't going that long.
Okay, that motion passes 3 to 1 to 1.
That's the first date.
Okay. Next up on the agenda is employee fringe benefits.
I can table this, but I did print out information. If you want it, I can send it home with you. We can do it next week.
I got something too. I found the stuff I was talking about last night.
Did you? Is it this stuff?
Yeah, I think so. Qualified non-personal use vehicles.
You
You're saying.
You two are Twinkies.
That's
That's the same
right.
thing, right? So there you go.
I have more, even, but it's
find a
very
loophole?
short, very quick.
It's not a fringe
It's not a
benefit because
loophole.
utility
It's the IRS.
Yeah.
Well, just what I said, there's certain.
I can call
vehicles
them
that
if you
can-
want.
It's not a taxable fringe if you use it to go back and forth. But they're,
So
They're long rules.
You want to talk about it? or
Sure,
you wanna
let's talk
table
about it.
All right.
It's qualified non-personal use vehicles, which are clearly marked through painted insignia or words, public safety vehicles, providing that any personal use of the vehicle other than commuting is prohibited by the government unit, which it is if you read our handbook. Then you flip over here. This is publication 15B from the IRS. To pickup trucks, and if it's equipped with permanent sideboards or panels that materially raise the level of the sides of the truck bed, which 2 of our trucks do, or they haul other such heavy equipment. And if they don't qualify under those 2, then they'll definitely qualify under, and I cannot remember what this is called. Do you remember CFR? Off the top of my head, I wrote it down somewhere.
that's the Code of Federal Regulations.
There you go. Qualified specialized utility repair trucks as defined in paragraph K5, which says the employer requires the employee to drive the truck home in order to be able to respond in emergency situations for purposes of restoring or maintaining electricity, gas, telephone, water, sewer, or stream utility services. And I think that's it. So on 3 different counts, they
It ends the debate
are
about the
not
fringe benefit.
a taxable benefit.
But if we go to a person. on
Except for maybe
call,
Robbins, actually, which is probably why the part-timer was never allowed to actually take the truck home previously.
That's great.
So,
But I didn't bring this up.
so we have one city
I
truck
didn't
that, we have one
Yeah.
city truck that's not marked. Does that qualify?
It does because he is an emergency responder with those gas leaks. Yes.
But it doesn't have the decals on it. Why doesn't have it? Why aren't
It
the
just needs to
decals?
get the decals. So
So
that's
we're in
something we need
violation at
to.
this
No,
point.
we are not in violation.
Well,
He is an emergent. It does not have to have
But we
it
don't have our equipment properly
marked,
right?
because he does respond by our requirement to emergencies. But
It's
yes,
covered by
we
the other
should
one.
get it
We should get it,
decaled.
but it is covered by the other section.
Speaking about emergencies, it's my understanding the gas regulations require you to have somebody to answer the phone on weekends and
Mhm.
evenings. And if you call in here, you don't get any response.
When there's a
911.
gas leak, you call 911 on off hours, and then they contact and they put a page out for those responders. Just to cover it 100% instead of
I
part-time.
don't think that's covered in your tariff and stuff.
In my what?
Tariff.
Tariff?
I'm not sure if that's the agreement with the gas company.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't understand. Is it not?
I'm not gonna, I think we're talking about fringe benefits here. I don't think there's open question about that.
Yeah. Sounds like a thing we need to probably figure out.
So, I mean, just as a question, do all three of our employees need to be driving their vehicles home for emergency purposes? It seems like you can't call all three of them. So why do they all three need to be driving them home?
Because they're basically all on call. It's like whoever can respond to the call goes out to the call. And well, Barry would be when he's fully trained, but at this point he can still assist them.
Typically, the way our guys do it is if there's any sort of emergency, Jim gets the notification. If there's a gas emergency, Mike gets the notification. And if either one of them needs assistance, they can get a hold of Barry and have a backup. And then Mike and Jim can back each other up.
I'll take this one.
I mean, I apologies for the pink highlighter because that's the only color my kids left me. I promise I don't want pink. So maybe we can lay that to bed. Can we make that real clear in our notes? It's also very detailed in the employee handbook. So I don't know why it's been brought up again because it's been addressed previously. It was answered then. This is almost 10 years later. We're talking about it again for
This
no
wasn't
reason.
answered in this detail. It was answered to what this employees wanted. And we went by what they wanted. They didn't want to do that because we didn't know the answer till this moment right
That's
now.
not true.
I knew the answer.
Todd knew.
Then
Back
why
then.
didn't you tell us at the last meeting?
He couldn't remember.
Hey, come on now,
He
listen.
couldn't remember it off the top of his head, but he absolutely knew.
I got a
at the
few
last
extra sugar
meeting.
pills. We need-
Are we going longer?
Okay, we're moving on. Employee handbook is on the agenda again tonight.
Yeah, I think I sent you guys the on-call rails.
For what? An on-call what? What'd you say?
On-call stuff you asked.
Yeah, you have it's in our packet. Legally relevant.
Well, that was just an article talks about it. So the actual sample next page. Some of them.
I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of dead at 10 o'clock. I don't want to delay it, but at this point, I don't think any of us are prepared for a long conversation about PTO.
You're getting no argument from me.
Before Tim's birthday's today, and it was the worst meeting ever.
No, it wasn't.
So I moved to table the employee handbook.
I'll second
This was an extremely heavy meeting, so I don't think
Until
the next meeting. Yeah, sorry, September 9th
it. Still on no longer.
Okay,
of 2026.
motion to table to September 9th, the employee handbook discussion, seconded by Tim. Those in favor? Those opposed? Okay,
You voted once already.
motion passes 4-1. And one more thing before you guys go. I believe that we have a deadline coming up in October to get a copper and lead pipe survey done by the city. You aware of that?
Well, generally, yeah, but I thought that your water guys were doing that.
Are they working on it? That, you know, I hadn't heard anything about it at all. That's why I was questioning it. It came up at the Plant Hills Regional Council meeting last Friday, a week ago Friday, and since I hadn't heard about it at meetings, I didn't know if they're doing it. So, do you have any idea on the progress of where we're at with that?
I don't, but I know I've heard them have discussions about it, so I know that they're working on it.
Do we have the daily logs? Are they filling those out?
No, because we haven't got a commitment from the council yet.
That's actually, as I understand it, they are filling out data.
I thought we did get a commitment from them.
I did. I took the old log and put it in. As far as I know,
We did.
I know they
Okay.
took them,
So it's not just.
and I think they're filling them out.
Okay. Well, if they are, they're supposed to be turned in so we can review them at the council meetings.
Well, you know, you can.
So if you would, pass that along.
Okay.
Move to
So
adjourn.
you want them,
Second.
you want them out each week or
Every 2 weeks.
instead of not with their paychecks?
Everything.
Well, no, when the council meets so they can review it.
Okay, because it would have only been
Sure.
1 week that they had it.
Yeah.
Okay, so just at meetings.
Started like the 17th, I think is what I read.
Yeah, see, I didn't even know they were doing that.
I read some of this stuff.
Okay, motion to adjourn by Tim, seconded by
Jason.
Jason. Those in favor? We're gone.
Now, let me give me a different question. Sometimes we're faster on the free time. We did figure out whenever we had the meeting that discussed the water rates and how we were rating down the second piece of property. And then I will listen to
Here, I have somebody to.
Sure.
Step on it. That'll be easier.
Yeah, I thought it was.
It's code section 1, 3.
You know what I think would be a great idea?
That's
Before we
determination.
start the meeting, if we had something that had this
That says you can
on
spend,
YouTube
but you have
front
to
of
get
the
council's
meeting.
approval.
The
This is the agenda.
You
I
want,
will.
That way,
What is
all we would have
I
to
just
do
go
is
by
go
the-
to each meeting and watch the first
1303.
minute of it and go, oh, that's.
I'm just
that
going
wasn't
by the
the meeting I'm
handbook. It says
looking for.
if an employee was
Fast forward to the next
you
meeting.
can put